They've been charged with breaking and entering, destruction of property, and communicating threats. All Class 1 misdemeanors. I refuse to drop the charges. I might do so if I'm fully paid for the damage they've caused. They were still in jail as of Saturday evening. I assume they're out by now. No, fuck them. Yo, I hope y'all enjoyed that sneak preview of this insanity to come. But now you guys have to deal with me yapping. Because that's how we always start things off. So what up, though? I am your host, Mr. Always on 10. And thank you for coming to the Intelligent Idiots podcast. You beautiful, idiotic babies. Yes, I think that I am personally going to nickname all my fans rather than even give you guys the chance to even try to come up with a name for yourselves, right? You are my beautiful, idiotic babies, right? Wait, or should I say beautiful, intelligent babies? That's how you know it's late at night. I don't even know what I'm coming up with. Random shit coming right out of my mouth. Beautiful, intelligent? Nah, you guys got to be a little idiotic to be listening to me. But if you don't want to listen to me yap, you can absolutely skip ahead with the timestamps down below, right here. Whatever platform you're listening on, they got to have timestamps. I'm going to make sure they're in a little bio thingy, so you can immediately listen straight to the stories, right? Because I don't always want to listen to a motherfucker yap. I'm absolutely skipping straight ahead. Right, I want to get to the meat and to the potatoes of the meal. I don't want no appetizers. I don't want no bread. None of that shit. And let's this is some really good rolls. Some really good rolls. What's that? From Outback Steakhouse. They got the cinnamon boys. The rolls with the cinnamon butter. And then you got, or at least they used to exist. What's that crab place that got bought out by private equity that officially is like a dead thing now? They have fantastic rolls. What's it called? Crab? I got a little claw going on. I don't remember. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, it's 11:50 p.m. It's not crazy late, but I'm for sure like not even medicated anymore. So you get regular brained ADHD version of me. Yeah. We haven't been tested for autism, so don't go assuming random bullshit. All right? And since we're here, you can enjoy the fit check. Yeah. Venom. Venom. Yeah. Come on now. Where my nerdy motherfuckers at? Comment down below if you're a fan of Venom, especially this version. This, I believe, is like during, post null, right? You can tell from the back with that character design. They were on some shit. They were on some shit. What do you think though? Fuck Mary Jane. Should Venom get back with Peter Parker for like a hot 3 to 5 year run in the comics? Should that happen? Or should he get like a brand new symbiote? Because they need to go ahead and progress that story. Give him a little something. Make him a little mean. The world is harsh out there, right? He's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but to the villains, I need jokes and for him to also crush their spirit. Give me new villains of the week, but I want them to immediately go to therapy after a singular run-in with Spider-Man, with a symbiote. I want them to give up the life of crime the same exact week they even decide to do it. Oh, shit. I don't think I'm yapping that much. Nah, not yet. We got the on-air sign hitting. We got the RGB in the background. I hate RGB, but that's clean. That's clean. Beautiful. Entire scale, entire scope of the spectrum. So we're gonna vibe out. Yeah. We have a classic all time. And even though this puppy is old, there are so many updates You haven't heard the entirety of the story, so I want you to lock in with me, all right? We're over in Am I the Asshole with a post by Scared Weakness 6250. Am I the asshole for jumping out of the way when my niece and nephew tried to push me into a pool, resulting in them falling in? This happened today. My folks decided to host a barbecue because I guess that's what older people do. I declined because I really don't like my two sisters, their husbands, or their kids. Wife and I are child free. DINK, dual income, no kids. No, let me stop. Mom pressured the wife. Long story short, we went. By the time we arrived, there were about 20 people there. My sisters and their husbands were already solidly buzzed. Drunk, really. My mom was spending 100% of her time trying to keep the nieces and nephews, ages 7 to 11, more or less under control. My dad had strategically retreated to the whirlpool part of the pool with a small cooler full of beers. He did immediately. Wife and I made small talk with miscellaneous people, ate food, and had a frozen margarita. The sisters/brother-in-laws took turns criticizing us for being late, not being in our swimsuits, and screwing up the vibe. Whatever. A typical suburban summer get-together. About 45 minutes in, two of the kids ran at one of the neighbor guests who was sitting next to the pool and pushed her in. She was at the pool steps, stumbled in, but didn't fall, so only got half wet. She was clearly very unhappy about it, but she didn't make a scene. I would have. Just went over to where the parents were, grabbed her towels, dried herself off, and left. The sisters and brother-in-laws thought it was all great fun. A bit later, I was standing a few feet from the pool, chatting away with someone. I saw three of the kids running full tilt at me from the corner of my eye. Obviously, I was next. Not that it's terribly difficult to outwit young kids, but I just jumped out of the way at the last seconds. All three of them ran straight into the pool at full speed. Most of the other guests, including my wife and me, started laughing, but their moms, who, as I mentioned, were pretty shit-faced, absolutely freaked out. Apparently, two of the kids couldn't swim, even though they were in swimsuits. Since I wasn't in swim gear, I stepped back from the pool and let other people fish the kids out. The kids were bawling their heads off like they'd lost a limb. At that point, all hell broke loose. The four drunk parents were yelling at everyone in general, and me in particular, for nearly letting their kids drown. And also because two of the kids had been videoing the trick using their parents' iPhones, which were now at the bottom of the pool. One of my brother-in-laws got into the pool to try to retrieve the phones, but his BMI and BAC made that impossible. No one else volunteered to help, unsurprisingly, given that my sisters were still bitching at everyone. I told my sisters it was their job to watch their kids, and that if anything had happened to them, it would have been their responsibility, not mine. There were some pretty strong words on both sides. Wife and I left after the other brother-in-law fell over and face planted while yelling at us. Now they're saying I should have let the little shits knock me into the pool and have their fun and ruin my phone. So, am I the asshole? Side note, Dad, of course, never got out of the whirlpool. Yo, not the asshole, not at all. No, definitely not. I wish I could have witnessed you jumping out of the way at the last minute, in like slow motion. If the kids were smart, I'm assuming there's like 5 of them, they should have had the 2 phones in the other kid's hands recording from a distance. That would have made for a great video. I'm like kind of under the thought, just ever so slightly, that the parents knew this was happening. right? They gave their kids their phones, not just so they can mess around and play little games on them so they would be entertained rather than the parents having to parent. But I'm sure they knew just a tiny bit, tiny little inkling, right? Not 100% sure, just a tiny little inkling that they were in on the fact of the matter that the kids were recording, right? Because it's not even a good idea. Oh, let me push you while filming at the same time. Of course, a little kid is going to think of that. So it's not like the parents egged them into it. But I don't know. I just got that little thought in the back of my head. You know. Let's go to the top comment. That was deleted. Ooh, removed by a moderator. And the user has also deleted their page. Whatever it originally was had them 24K upvotes, but OP replied to them and they got 12K upvotes. That's probably the one positive thing that will come out of this. Life is much more tolerant and forgiving than I am towards my siblings. But based on what she's saying on the way home, I think she's had it with them as well. Okay. You got your wife on your side. I see it. And that's a win. We do not need any spineless individuals hanging around. Melodic Web 650 replies to OP. Maybe you and your wife can just have your dad over to your place next time. I party with him 8 days a week. And I got them 5.8K upvotes. And OP replied to him. Yeah, my dad's very chill. He loves being around groups of people, used to be in sales, likes people to enjoy themselves, and is definitely enjoying life as a retiree. He and two other guys with him just sat there and watched the show. Mom's cool too, but the situation upset her. Yeah, of course she got upset. All her kids were, the majority of her kids, right, which is like 66%, right, because she got two daughters and one boy, and all of her grandkids were throwing a fit because I'm sure the kicking and screaming and yelling by the two little kids who could not swim absolutely affected the other little babies. What was it, ages 7 to 11? So I'm sure nobody had a fun time after that. I'm sure no one had a fun time after that. Mobius_stripping quotes OP's story. One of my brother-in-laws got into the pool to try to retrieve the phones, but his BMI and BAC made that impossible. Now, for the people who are listening, for the people who may not be American, BAC means Bank of America Corporation. All right. So his bank did not allow him to cash that check. Right. His BMI, his body mass index, and his Bank of America Corporation. No, let me stop. BAC is blood alcohol concentration. Right. I know it may not be the same thing all the way around the world, but it's blood alcohol concentration. That means he was entirely too big and too drunk to dive down to the bottom of that pool. Oh my God. So Mobius Stripping quotes that. It says, LOL, not the asshole. They are lucky the neighbor they pushed didn't get hurt. Those kids sound terrible. Me, I'm liable to hit a kid. Right? You aren't controlling your kids. You haven't raised them well enough, socialized them in such a way that they aren't acting a fool in public, at parties, at events where there are strangers. I'm liable to hit your kid. Especially in a manner that would be deserving, right? You don't know me. You try to push me into a pool. I will snatch your little ass up and chuck you into the pool. What are you doing to my kids? I'm grabbing the parents and I'm chucking them into the pool too. Which of course, the wives are going to make it over before the drunk ass dads do, right? That big ass motherfucker, you coming after my wife? I'm jumping out the way. I'm sticking my leg out. You falling right in too. Now, your wife got to save you and your kid. Your wife got to save you and your kid because you too drunk and too fat to swim, and your kid, for whatever reason, is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old and cannot swim. I remember it was either an after school program. It's like a solidly vivid, obscure memory that I have, right? Because it's vivid. And I remember being a child, diving underwater and learning how to swim. But it's obscure because I do not remember where I was, how exactly old I was, whether it was like a after school program or like a summer camp thing. Maybe latchkey, maybe what was it called? Boys Girls Clubs. I think that was like a thing back then when I was a kid. This was like 20 plus years ago. Damn, I'm old. Fuck. Yeah. I just got called Ankh today and bro several times. Ooh. Good Lord. And for any Gen Zers who are listening to me, you are using Ankh incorrectly. Ankh means cool uncle or cool older individual who is an uncle-like person to you, not just an older person, right? If you are Ankh, you are the cool uncle. Where was I at? Was I at the point of violence? What was I? I forget. Never mind. OP replies to Mobius Stripping's comment. Yeah, it's an old pool, 8 feet deep at the deep end. He's a very well-fed guy. The phones were still at the bottom of the pool when we left, so I'm guessing they're toast. Right now, remember, no matter how old this post is or whenever you see this, right, all phones are waterproof, but their components are not chemical proof. Right, good classic regular minerally water out in the ocean, right, in a fresh lake or river, you'll be much more fine with that having no issues being submerged at its particular depth for 20, 30, 40 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. But chlorine and all kinds of other chemicals that go in the pool, I don't know what else they use besides chlorine. That's going to eat away at the components that keep the phone in its waterproof state. In this what is it? IP65? Yeah, and whatever. Yeah, we're going to look that up actually, because what is the IP rating? IP rating explained. Ingress protection. I'm not going to read the fucking AI. Suck my dick. IP ratings. Electric and electronic equipment deteriorates or malfunction when water or dust enters the device. The IEC has developed the ingress protection ratings, which grade the resistance of an enclosure against the intrusion of dust or liquids. The ratings are widely used throughout industry. In recent years, many consumers have taken an interest in smartphone features that include resilience against liquid or dust. However, it can be difficult to assess the meaning of terms such as waterproof or water resistant when used for marketing purposes. IEC 60529 has been developed to rate. What the fuck is that? Whatever. Has been developed to rate and grade the resistance of enclosures and of electric and electronic devices against the intrusion of dust and liquids. It also rates how easy it is for individuals to access the potentially hazardous parts within the enclosure. The standard prepared by IEC Technical Committee 70 uses the IP code to rate the degrees of protection offered by the enclosure of electrical equipment with a rated voltage of a maximum of 72.5 kilovolts. The standard also defines the test to be performed to verify that the enclosure meets these requirements. The IP code is composed of two numerals. The first numeral refers to the protection against solid objects and is rated on a scale from 0, no protection, to 6, no ingress of dust. Ingress. Blah. The second numeral rates the enclosure's protection against liquids and uses a scale from 0, no protection again, to 9, high pressure hot water from different angles. The first edition of the IEC 60529 was published in 1976 with the aim of creating a single document to bring together all requirements regarding protection by enclosures. Previously separate standards had been developed for motors and low voltage switchgear and control gear. So that's why you see IP65 or IP67, right? So you got a maximum when you get the IP6, and then you have a pretty all right when you have the 5. So an IP65, basic. IP67, that's pretty good. Let me see. What kind of iPhone do I have? iPhone, do I have a 16 Pro Max? Is that what I have? 16 Pro Max IP rating is, ooh, shit. The AI says, suck my dick. All right, Apple, you're not telling me. Oh, I see. So the iPhone 16, I'm over on Apple's website. We refuse to use AI. The iPhone 16 Pro Max, and it looks like the majority of all the versions since the damn 7 and 7 Plus have an IP rating of 68 under the IEC standard 60529, which we were just going over, with a maximum depth of 6 meters up to 30 minutes. And for all my Americans who don't know what a damn meter is, just like me, 6 meters is 6.5 yards. And for all my Americans who don't watch football and can convert that yard in their head, it's 19.685 feet. So let's just call it 20 feet, a little shy of 20 feet, right? So you can have your phone at the bottom of a pool for up to 30 minutes based upon their testing and not have any leaks of water into your internal components. I'm just fucking yapping. I told y'all I wasn't medicated. I took my shit earlier. It's for sure out of my system. You won't have any issues in your pristine condition iPhone being at the bottom of a pool with regular water, right? Regular water for 30 minutes, right? But that's based upon their own testing. Who knows if that's perfectly 6 meters and perfectly 30 minutes. My brain just had a fart. Let's go over to the update. I'm gonna stop yapping. Update number 1, because there are like 17 billion updates. The entire episode might just be me reading the updates for this story. First off, my folks tell me that my nieces and nephews are all good swimmers and that they use the pool all the time. The 7-year-old is still a beginner, but he loves the water. So your drunk ass family members were just lying their heads off, or they couldn't handle running straight into a pool and being shocked. My sister just said they couldn't swim, so I'd look bad. To be fair, none of the kids are allowed in the deep end, which is where they fell in. It was the 2 10-year-olds and the 9-year-old who tried to push me into the pool. Also, some of the oldest kids right there. After we left the party, oh, you need a comma there. Your grammar is bad. I'm gonna have a hard time reading your stuff. After we left, comma, the party ended on a pretty sour note. My drunk brother-in-law, who face-planted while yelling at me, had to go to an urgent care place and get his face stitched up. Yo, dog. He was too toasted to drive, so Dad took him. Dad was very not happy about this. Late that evening, my sister started a group text and said some really nasty crap. Their husbands threw a few comments in as well. Wife and I blocked the 4 of them. My mom called me. She was pretty upset about what they said. She and Dad were in the group chat as well. And I don't blame her. I do not blame her for being upset. Because of the text, my folks insisted my sisters and brother-in-laws come over the next day, which was Sunday, without their kids to get some things straight and lay down some ground rules. Mom's wording, very specifically, all right? You see the air quotes? The result was a contrite, if unenthusiastic apology from the siblings via my mom's phone. You can use the word contrite properly in a sentence, but you can't remember to put your commas when you type them? My guy, come on now. You know how this Reddit podcast stuff goes. If you got an interesting story, we gonna read them. We gonna read them. It's on me. It's on me for not reading all the updates. I read like the original story. I don't always read all the updates and all the comments, right? So if people have messed up grammar, meh. Let me focus. Let me focus. I'm glad my wife was with me when they called. Her hard stares kept me from saying what I wanted to. Come on now, let your man be mean. I just told them things and that we felt no need to discuss it further. Since I thought things were settled, I unblocked them. That evening, I got a text from one of the brother-in-laws telling me that the phones cost, X dollar amounts, and there are 4 X's. So I'm assuming this is over $1,000. And asking me when I'd be paying for them. What the fuck? I replied, never. Took a screenshot of his text and forwarded it to my folks with a note saying that we were done with this nonsense. We're going no contact with sisters and their spouses and not to invite us to any more holidays or get-togethers if they'll be present. Then I blocked the sisters and their spouses again. At that point, the shit really hit the fan. Dad called them and ripped them a new one. Yeah. Among other things, he told them the grandkids were not welcome in his place indefinitely. Since my mom regularly provides free babysitting, that got them pretty rattled. He also banned them from using the vacation house and told them my wife and I actually own it. Oh, not he and mom. This was relevant. This completely freaked them out. Both of my sisters' families use the place a lot, including having their friends up there for weekend getaways. This was very much out of character for my folks. They'd clearly had it. And for reference, I never wanted my sisters to know we own the place. You ain't want to flex? We bought it for my folks. They'd always wanted a place in the mountains. Keeping the ownership quiet was just a way to avoid drama with my siblings. A couple of days later, my sisters and their husbands came to our place unannounced to apologize in person. We were out to dinner and they left a note. One sister also called me at work too. I sent her to voicemail. We decided being no contact is the best thing for the indefinite future and haven't interacted with them for the last 3+ weeks. Personally, I'm done. They can go pound sand. I approve. And top comment is only 8 upvotes by Sensitive Engineer 64. Love the supportive parents. 4 exclamation points. Of course. Now, there are only 3 comments on this update because this was posted straight to their own page. They did not bring this update to Am I the Asshole, or maybe they did, and they just had to copy paste it. But we're moving on to update number 2. It gets juicy. Update to the update. August 26, 2023, a week after the updates. Well, it's been an interesting last few days. I thought this shit had hit the fan before, but it was more of a fart compared to what's happened this week. For this to make sense, I need to provide some financial context. My folks haven't ever been any good at saving money. I've been doing their taxes for years, so I know pretty much everything about them money-wise. Their house is paid for, and they have minimal debt, but they didn't save much for retirement. Both of them get Social Security. Dad gets a solid pension, and they have a bit of savings, but there's no treasure chest in the basement. I bought their current car for them after they retired. As a retirement present, so they could have something nice to drive. It was the first car in probably 20 years they didn't lease. My sisters are convinced the folks are dripping with money and that our parents will be leaving the 2 of them everything since I don't need more money. So they've never cared about saving either. This is a classic, and I'm sure you guys have heard this story before, but I'm remembering certain parts I don't remember. Ooh, it gets even more juicy than whatever this update is. Turns out my oldest sister and her husband, they have 3 kids, have been living beyond their means for some time and are in financial straits. They've maxed out their credit cards and are behind on their car leases to the point that one is about to get repossessed. Damn. He bragged in the past about making X dollars per year, but it turns out to be about half that. She confessed all of this to mom on Tuesday because they need a loan and this is a what the fuck moment for mom and dad. that for the last 3 years, instead of staying at the vacation house regularly, she's been renting it out once a month or so and pocketing the cash. We're talking $2,000 plus for a weekend and at least $4,000 for a week. With her being cut off from using the place, she's had to cancel one group already. She's now worried they'll lose everything. My folks aren't in any position to give them a loan. Yo, the selfishness, the lying, the omission is crazy. My other sister was aware of her renting out the place, but of course hasn't ever said anything. I suspect she's done the same thing as well because I went up there once to drop off an ATV I had worked on, and there was a family there who claimed to be staying there with my sister / her family, and that they've gone to town for something. At the time, I let it go. I figured she loaned out the house to some friends, but I've always wondered. I found all this out through my folks who were pretty stressed out about it. Mom more than dad. He's mainly just pissed off about it all. Yeah, he's probably pissed at himself for raising them so poorly. I know dad feels betrayed, and I imagine he's embarrassed that he's in no position to help his daughters out. He did reiterate that as long as it's up to him, the girls won't be using the vacation home anytime soon. My folks let me know what's going on because they figured my sisters put a full court press on me next, and they were right. On Thursday, my sisters came to our place again, without husbands this time, and waited outside the door until I got home. I had to choose between fighting with them in public, them making a scene if I went in without them, or letting them in, so I let them in. I got a bullshit story from the older sister with the younger one backing her up regarding why I needed to let them use the mountain place again immediately. They also said I've been a shitty brother and that I need to step up and plan on paying for their kids' college tuition. Since that's what family does. Yo, my brain just got destroyed. I let them pitch their story and then called them out based on what my folks had told me. Things went to shit from there. There was denial, crying, cursing, yelling, you name it. I swear my ears are still ringing 2 days later. Won't lie, I said some really mean and shitty things to them, but nothing that wasn't true. They finally left after about an hour. After that, I took a shower and laid down. When I got up, my wife was home, and her first words were that she had to block more phone numbers because my sisters were blowing up our phones from new ones. Folks messaged me yesterday asking to call. I'm sure my sisters have told them some bullshit version of what happened, but I'm not up to rehashing it yet. I'm usually a pretty energetic person, but this drama has beaten me down. I had just enough energy today to drive up to the vacation house and padlock the entrance gate shut. I'm the only one with a key. I'm guessing that will be enough to ensure my siblings leave the place alone. They'd probably die trying to walk 400 yards uphill to get to the house. Man, if I'm the parents, no, I'm not the parents. Me looking at the parents, right? We're assuming that OP has their shit together, but the sisters, for whatever reason, along with their husbands, the spouses, the brother-in-laws, as we know them to be, are shitty parents. Right? They have raised some bratty little kids, or just some overactive little kids who don't know what boundaries are and how to treat random strangers in public, or I guess somewhat public settings, right? Parties. What would you consider a party at your grandma's house? Your grandma and your granddad's house. It's not public. I wouldn't call it intimate either. Private? No, because it doesn't feel like that to a child, right? But no matter what, if I was a parent to grown ass 30-something year old, 40-something year old, I wouldn't call them kids. If I was a parent to 40-something year old adults and their kids were acting a fool, at parties, events, public, private places, anywhere with people they don't know, I would feel like I failed at some point. I would feel like I didn't impart good knowledge and good teachings on how to raise children through them. I would be like, y'all didn't act like this as kids. What the fuck? What the fuck? Are your husbands bad influences on you? Are your friends bad influences on you? Is social media all up in your ear and you're raising them in a weird way? Because again, they push a stranger into the pool. Right. Luckily, they didn't fall. They didn't hurt themselves. They didn't clip their heads on the side of the pool, you know, because that could have been a real incident. Only one of the brother-in-laws got hurt. And the dad wasn't happy about that shit, that he had to drive him there. But if there's any form of retrospection, if there's any thought process, if there's any introspection, I from my end, if I was in their spot, I would be like, what the fuck? Right. But there can't be, right? Because they've been babysitting these kids for so long. They have to have a large understanding and inkling of how they are, right? The kids have been acting one way around the grandparents for so long. Things aren't different all of a sudden that all the parents are around, all the family members are around, and a bunch of strangers are around. I'm sure they're acting the same exact way, right? So the parents have done a bad job of raising their daughters. Maybe they've done a bad job of raising OP too, right? But people treat their boys and their girls differently when they raise them. I'm sure these parents are in my parents' age bracket. Hi, Mom. So I'm sure they're aware of how bad parents are or parents were for their age group, right? How for certain communities, right, they got no support or no education from their own parents on how to parent children, right, in an appropriate manner. I can go on and on, but we're going to read the top comment, because I'm just yapping. Last assignment, 3672, with 21 upvotes. We're going back up, baby. We were in the tens of thousands. Now we're just in the double digits. Comments. Wow, your sisters are shitty people. The whole because family statement is such a cop-out for shitty people. They believe it allows them the ability to treat you badly and still ask for money/help. I am not sure what your parents want to talk about. However, if I were you, I would not help your sisters out money-wise. I think they need to hit rock bottom to jar them out. I'm misreading that. I'm sorry. I think they need to hit rock bottom to jar them enough to pull their heads out of their asses. The fantasy world they live in does not exist. And it's about time for them to realize that. Hopefully your parents don't try and press you to exist. I think that would just enable your sister and her family to continue to live beyond their means. Honestly, if you were to give your sister money, you can expect to never see it again. Just reading all of your posts has made me tired. I hope for your sake that things start to slow down. And I agree with that, honestly. I agree with that. People, if you're parents, you got kids, whether they're 5, 15, or 25, you got to make sure that you help them with their finances. There are so many things that have learned that I did not learn from my parents in my 20s, and I'm 31 now, in my 30s, that they did not teach me because their parents did not teach them. And if you can see my face, you're watching me on YouTube or some fucking social media app, I am African American, right? So I am just a few generations removed from, oh shit, my ancestors did not learn in school, where the majority of people were, illiterate to a degree, but learning in school, right? So I don't have 16 generations of scholars to go back on, right? But my parents are incredibly intelligent people. Yet the environments that they were raised in, their parents, their social group, right, the schools that they went to did not instill in them certain economic teachings that will have allowed them to pass down on to me, right? They're learning side by side with me. They're learning from me sometimes. Sometimes this shit doesn't matter because they're so old. My mom's literally retired, right? She don't give a fuck. I got money. Oh shit, the price of gas just went up. Fuck Trump. No, let me stop. Yeah, so I'm really about to be, for however many updates there are, I'm about to be blaming OP's parents for the actions of his sisters, and I can't blame them for the actions of their husbands, right? But again, I would instill into my children to pick good partners and how to pick them. They would not pick, I'm a big guy, but they would not pick fat alcoholics who don't watch their children and get drunk when they should be watching their children as partners. I would not. Let's find some comments that OP commented on. Ooh. Oh. Everything updated on me. My whole thing just refreshed. Sarman82 drops a comment with a singular upvote. OMG, I love it when the assholes get karma like this. One question I think we're all curious about. Did they ever get the phone out of the pool? And OP replies to that. Yeah, Dad fished them out the next day. They were ruined. And as we know, with our brand new knowledge of how the IP rating system works, wait, what the fuck was it called again? Ingress protection? What was it? Come on, guys, help me out. Yes, ingress protection. Ingress. It's a real weird word. A 8 feet deep pool with chlorine, and he fished them out the next day, probably in the afternoon. So almost a smooth 16 hours, maybe even 24 hours later. Let's just even call it 8. It went past the rating, right? Because as we can see from iPhone 7 to iPhone 17e, the Israel version, they all got the same IP rating, right? It doesn't matter if you had the basic boy, you had the Plus, you had the Pro, you had the Pro Max. They all had the IP68, right? So they're good for 20 feet submerged for 30 minutes, right? As you get deeper in water, there's more pressure, right? So even though it's a lesser amount compared to the max depth that the phone can be at, those number of hours and the amount of chemicals and the types of chemicals that was in that pool ate away at the phones. And then once it seeped into the seals and got into the electronics, it was donezo. There's no rice saving that. Whole motherboards, whole components will have to be swapped out. No. It's a done deal. All right. Let's go over to update number 3. September 12th, 2023. Yet another update regarding the clusterfuck that is my extended family. Though it might be time, given what's going on over the past 2 weeks. After my sisters came to my place, my mom and dad told me they were done with managing the vacation home. Sounded like the sisters had been pressuring them to use the place again. Basically, my folks handed responsibility for a place over to me and told me it was my problem from here on out. Hey, I'm not even mad at them. I'm mad if that was a mosquito, though. I will go insane on camera and not even cut it out. Up until then, they kept track of who was using it, and when they taken care of routine maintenance, replacing worn out items, etc., they did a pretty good job. Not really, because they didn't realize that the place was basically an Airbnb, an expensive one, $2,000 a weekend. In any case, they decided they didn't want to be in the middle of all this crap. Well, I don't blame them. I'm disappointed because the damn place was supposed to be something for them to enjoy and hang out in, and they use it regularly. Plus, I never cared that they let my sisters and their families use it, because really, I've always thought that was my parents' call, even though I technically own it. But now my folks are going to be in the position of not having access without me being involved, and that changes the whole dynamic of the place. Not if you just give them the key. No. I'm taking several steps to secure the place. I've already mentioned that I locked the gate. It has a heavy-duty chain and the best lock I could find. I also did a full reset on all the door keypads and created all new codes. Security cameras got installed yesterday, which is actually pretty cool because the installer convinced me to put a high-res one that looks out over the whole valley. You got money. The system cost me way more than I thought it would, but the peace of mind is worth it. The installer also put up signs on the property saying this place was monitored by video. I Did y'all see that mosquito? Was it a fly? I'm kind of blind. Was I talking about OP having money? Where did I leave off at? Doesn't matter. I installed a heavy-duty lockout for the water shutoff / drain valve. I hope to hell I don't lose the keys for it, because if I do, it's going to be a bear to try and remove it. Did y'all see Obsession? Beautiful movie. Haven't told anyone but my wife that the water is locked off, and again, only we have the keys. You must know your sisters are crazy to be putting a heavy-duty lock on the water shutoff. I wouldn't even think to do no shit like this. Like, ring doorbell, indoor cameras, changing like the combination, yeah, because anybody can hop a fence, anybody can break a lock, right? But you're shutting the water off and you're putting a lock on that? That's some wild shit. Last week, I got separate calls at my office from, you got an office? Last week, I got separate calls at my office from both of the husbands trying to convince me to let them use the house like they always have. The older one that had gone up with some friends for a guy's hangout but couldn't get in because of the gate lock. He was pretty pissed and embarrassed about being locked out. I'm sure he would have broken the lock if he could have. Yeah, you know your family. During his call, he kept bouncing between pushy and victimhood. At one point, he threatened to rip that gate out of the goddamn ground. He also admitted they had been renting it out to a few friends, that they needed the money, I was ruining their business, and that I should refund their guests' money. Me? Fuck that. I should have recorded the conversation with him, but I don't know how to do that from an office phone anyway. The other brother-in-law just sounded like he was being made to call by my sister. He didn't really put up a fight when I told him not to plan on ever using the place again. In any case, I told them they can't use the place and not to ask again. Yeah. Okay, you made the right decisions. At this point, I'm considering selling the vacation home. My wife and I won't use it enough to justify keeping it, and it's not like there's going to be any family get-togethers there anytime soon. I mentioned selling it to my folks. Their response was pretty much, whatever. I'd more than double my money by selling it. The place consists of 3 lots with killer views and is at the end of a private road. But I'd probably wait for a while to sell. Doing so now would be an emotional decision. My sisters and I aren't currently speaking, and I have no plans to initiate contact. I don't know what the status between them and my folks is, and I don't want to. On the upside, we spent an evening with my folks last week. We went to a new restaurant that was nice. No one brought up any of this crap. Mom did update us on nieces and nephews. She's spending time with them at their homes. Sorry this update isn't full of laughs or owns. That's just life sometimes. I'm cool with this update. My brain like super wandered while reading. It made me think of like the most random stuff. Okay. Sell the house to them. You got 3 killer lots. Okay. The sisters can build nice little homes on those lots, and then everybody can live up there. But then I'm like, wait, this is like a vacation spot. A vacation spot. Generally, there's old rich people who have places out there. There aren't families living out there. I was like, is there a certain number of kids that then trigger a city needing to build a whole school in a certain area at a certain point once there are so many kids? And I was like, wait, no, they can just, fuck that. Your kids need to be homeschooled. And I was like, man, homeschooling sucks. But then I was like, wait, what if there's a federal mandate and then like a minimum standard set and everybody's held to the same standard of being homeschooled, so it doesn't really even matter? My brain. All that happened while I was reading the story. And not even the entire time. It got up to killer lots. And I was like, And my brain was just, the hamster got to turning that wheel. Top comments by Negative Bottle 776 with 37 upvotes. Ooh, baby, we getting there. Will we get back up to 10,000, 50,000 upvotes? No, we won't. Thank you so much for the update. I'll advise you to check with your advisor if renting your property would be worthwhile. After all, bro, if they were renting that bitch out for $2,000 a weekend, yes. Yes. But it sounds like you have so much money, it would be a headache to even go back and forth, up and down, up north, south, wherever your vacation spot is, right? To spend the time to make sure it's clean and put together. But they have services for that. After all of this improvements, a conscious-minded renter might give you a good buck for a month. For a month? Oh, like monthly rent. That's what they mean. Or year rental. I should have read after the comma. Selling now, as you said, may not be in your best interest. About your pushy brother-in-law, I'll ask my lawyer to draft a letter of intent to sue for the profits from the rentals. Spot on. Also include a change of misuse and any property lost or destroyed. Oh, this is lawyer talk. Maybe do it for both. This will stop any further attempts, as they seem very entitled to your property and money. Good luck. Update us if you can or need more ideas. Yes. And OP responds with a lot. Damn. I agree that my sisters and their families are very entitled. They are also in an extremely weak position in all of this. The place is a bit remote to rent as long as a long-term home. Plus, there are times during the winter where the road is impassable. So staying there year-round is pretty iffy. There are a couple of permanent residents on the road who are at a lower elevation and relatively close to the year-round public road, but even then, they have to hunker down or bug out a few times each winter. Ooh, the lore. Regarding making it a vacation rental, doing so would be seen by my sisters as rubbing salt in the wound and would give them a reason to create more drama. And honestly, we don't need the money. The place is paid for. It's in great shape. It doesn't cost much to keep the lights on, etc. I did think about lowering it up and covering them with paper. It wouldn't even cost me much. A good friend is a property law attorney. But again, doing so would escalate things and give them reason to create family drama. My primary goal at this point is to minimize my involvement with them and minimize any nonsense that causes my parents stress. I'm willing to take some short-term flack and absorb expenses like the camera system to keep things contained. It could blow up again, but I suppose I'll drive off that bridge when I come to it. I don't think we'll sell it right away, if at all. It's more of a last resort / personal fantasy thought than anything else. There's a good chance that come holiday season, our folks will reset and want to have the entire family there. Which is fine. We won't be going, of course, but I don't care if my parents have guests there. I intend to keep control of the place for the indefinite future, though, which will be inconvenient at times because I'll be the only person with a gate key, but I can live with that. And beautiful story replies to them. Seriously, OP, you're a good person. Honestly, I'd take the petty route, but I respect you for recognizing the value of peace and as little drama as possible. Again, respect. Listen, I absolutely adore my two brothers. We hang out and absolutely respect each other's properties and boundaries. I've got room for one more brother. Smiles. I'm just saying. And my nibblings would never. If they even thought about it, my mother and older brother would have this 1,000-yard stare that freezes my blood. See, it's the parents, man. It's July 13th, and somebody just let off a fucking firework. What the It's 12:41 a.m. What the fuck? It's Monday morning. People have to go to work. There's no more holidays until Halloween. President's Day? President's Day. White Day? President's Day. That's a holiday, right? What the fuck? Even I'm not even being like loud because my neighbors are asleep. Ooh, that just got me a little bit. We're going to move on to the next update. I'm not going to read no more comments from OP on this one because we're over to update number 4. Yeah. October 16th, 2023. A couple of people have asked for an update, so here you go. I hired a guy to manage slash look over the vacation home. He lives in the area, takes care of his folks, and manages a good number of properties. Some are vacation rentals, some are weekend places like ours. He has access to my camera feeds and does a physical check on the place every week or two. I think he may have the best job in the mountains. He gets paid to drive around with his dog, walk around the properties, and hangs out on people's decks whenever he feels like it. He also has a camera feed from a house near the start of the private road that takes still shots whenever a vehicle goes past it. $450 a month. Plus, he'll do basic maintenance and repairs on an hourly basis. He's friends with all of the sheriff's deputies too. Ooh, that's worth the cost then. Especially if you have a second home like this where you already paid it off. Like $450 a month don't mean shit to you. You got money. Got a lot of peace of mind from doing this. And he sends photos from his walks to everyone once or twice a week. Those are probably some really nice pictures too. I have to brag a bit on my parents. I got all this from them tonight at dinner. They were getting pressure from my sisters to demand that I open up the vacation home to everyone for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving up there had become quite the tradition for the family. Not for me or my wife. We've gone once in 7 years. Yo, you do not fuck with your sisters at all. My dad refused to bother me about it because he knew I'd say no. They came up with what I think is a great plan. Announced that they were organizing the Thanksgiving gathering, and if everyone split the cost in advance, they rent an Airbnb in the mountains. Otherwise, they host Thanksgiving at their place, or one of the sisters could host it. This caused a fight between the sisters because the middle sister was all for doing the Airbnb, but the oldest one doesn't have any money. The deadline to commit to the Airbnb has passed. Looks like Thanksgiving will be at my parents' place. Regardless, we won't be there. My parents have asked that we not sell the place for now. They decided they'd still like to use it occasionally, but not until my sisters have come to terms with the new normal. And of course, they'd probably like it if everyone could get together there again down the road, but that's just not going to happen. I just assume sell it and move on at this point, but I can live with keeping it if my folks do use it now and again. Plus, it will be worth even more down the road. My wife and I, have stayed no contact with my sisters and their husbands. Both sisters have called from new numbers, fuck you, Google Voice, and left messages insisting that I meet with them for our parents' sakes to work out how everyone can use the family vacation home. They called my wife too. I'm glad I was already in the habit of not answering calls if I don't recognize the number. Never do that. Never answer calls that you don't recognize. Never do that. I honestly don't know if they're delusional or if they think they can bully me into giving them access again. Don't really care. My parents tell me that the older sister and her husband are getting out of the leases for their SUV and big ass truck and are selling their jet skis and some other shit they've never needed. That's going to be really hard on her. She's quite the braggart and won't like being seen in something older, smaller, / cheaper. My brother-in-law's identity is very much wrapped up in his truck as well. He even has a small tattoo of the truck company's logo, which frankly is one of the many reasons why he and I never hung out. Several people have suggested I make the vacation home into an Airbnb. I don't plan to do so, at least anytime soon. I know it would make money, but it would cause an incredible amount of drama across the family and would stress out my parents. They don't need that. It would be a hassle to remove personal things my folks have there. That stuff has nowhere to go. And there would be wear and tear on the place. And I'm sure it would take some amount of time on my part, even though I'd use a manager to do it. It's just not worth it to me. Yo, this motherfucker got money. Money. So, just a couple things. The parents suck. So far in these updates, we have no information about the parents sitting down and really grilling their daughters. Shit, they can grill the brother-in-laws too, because technically those are their son-in-laws, right? Which they may not have shared with their son, which is OP. So, I'm just still under the thoughts that they are shitty parents. And yo, the brother-in-law having his identity wrapped up in the truck is delusional and so fucking silly and dumb. I'm not even gonna lie to you, so silly and dumb. A bit of information and lore in the 1970s when beautiful, beautiful black African American individuals started tricking out rides, taking vehicles, adding stereos, painting vehicles, and just adding so many amenities that didn't exist in trucks, large trucks, pickup trucks. The major car manufacturers, probably the big three, saw that and was like, huh. And then proceeded to take the pickup trucks that were only considered work trucks back then and added AC, added radio, added dope amenities for the time, which is, I think, only really those things, and began to sell those puppies like they're luxury vehicles, right? And during that time period, of course, they lobbied the government. Vehicles that were that large, right, over a certain standard, unibody, were not beholden to the gas emission standards, right? The government told every single car company, hey, your vehicle is this size. They have to meet this standard for gas emissions, which costs to all the car manufacturers a large amount to, do all the sciencey shit, right? To produce vehicles that met the minimum standards given to them. But since work trucks were not in that classification, shit, they can sell them and do whatever with them, right? During that time period, I believe over 70% of vehicles on the road were cars, right? So, or maybe it was over 90%. I'm not too sure. But definitely 70%. You can look it up yourself. And with that, you had a lot of efficient people driving around. Gas wasn't that crazy, especially during all the various gas crises that took place. Crises? There's definitely crises. It's not crises, it's crises. Crises on infinite Earths. Let me stop. So with that, you get a push, of course, in advertisement, and you get a slowdown on production for smaller vehicles, which are cars. You get more hatchbacks, you get more vans, and you get more large pickup trucks. And in turn, now over 90% of all vehicles on the road, vary state by state, some are like 99% in the United States, are trucks. They are large vehicles. You can call it a crossover or a van, but it's a big ass truck. And in turn, if they are not electric, they are consuming much more gas than a car does. It kind of makes sense since we're a country with a lot of fat fucking people. Your boy included. Your boy included. But still, the emission standards are dog shit. And in turn, your gas mileage is terrible, even though things have advanced over the past however many years. And without you even realizing, you have been propagandized into a lack of choice. There are no cars that you can buy because there are no options. And because for several decades, you have been finessed into thinking that you should buy the larger vehicle, you are paying more. More in gas and more because of the size of the vehicle. Bigger truck means more cost for parts. More cost for parts means they can charge a larger price, right? You never looked at a tiny little itty bitty car and looked at a big ass truck and you're like, damn, that boy is like 2.5 times the price, but it's so pretty. Because you have been inundated, depending on your age, since before you were born, since before your parents were born, because it's 2026, we're 50 years removed, 56 years removed. I can't tell you the exact date in the 70s, where it's just been a shit ton of advertisement on large trucks, right? Think about everyone that you know who owns a pickup truck, who owns a large vehicle that has 7 or 8 seats. And think about Do they ever do any construction work? Do they ever do anything that requires them to have a pickup bed? Do they have 4, 5, 6 kids that requires them to have 7, 8 seats? Are they a soccer mom? Because the last time I checked, there's no American company besides Chrysler that sells a van anymore. All that's left is the Chrysler Pacifica. They did so well with their advertisement. They did so well with their awards that they consistently got year after year that Ford and GM bowed out. I believe they bowed out 2025 or 2024. So outside of foreign vehicles being imported in and being taxed to shit, there are no cars, vans, crossovers for real being sold outside of huge ass trucks, unless they're electric vehicles, or again, shit, luxury cars, right? How much is your basic Mustang getting miles to the gallon? Think about that. Top comment, because I was yapping my ass off. We have to hit the triple digit mark. 73 Shay drops a comment that has 117 upvotes, baby. Thanks for the update, OP. I find it quite hilarious that your sisters can't handle the fact that it's your vacation home. That went as far as to dub it the family vacation home and use your parents again for sympathy. They need to learn humility. NOP replies to that with 111 upvotes. Ooh, we in the triple digits again, baby. We got to get all the way up to the 5-digit number. Yep, that line killed me. And they both used it in separate voicemails. They're trying hard to find any crack in my armor. I'm kind of curious as to what they'll try next, which will probably happen soon because another tradition is to meet up right after Christmas for a few days. Sometimes for several days, including New Year's. I'm pretty pleased that my dad has been firm with them on this. I've rarely seen him be that way. His nature is gregarious, friendly, good at getting people to cooperate, that sort of thing. He's also told me that he likes not feeling responsible for the place anymore. I don't think your dad felt responsible for raising your sisters. Yeah, I'm dragging your parents. I don't give a fuck. I don't care, bro. I do not care. Miyuki_M drops a comment, 39 upvotes. I don't understand your sister's level of insanity, but they sure are committed to it. And OP replies to that. Pretty certain they see me as the insane one, the oldest one in particular. One of the other things she told me to rationalize her renting the place out is that it was wrong not to, since it would just sit there otherwise. I was ready to forgive you because you used the word gregarious earlier in another comment, but you should have had 17 commas in this one sentence and you didn't. I'm going to fight you, OP. I'm going to find you at your bougie-ass vacation home before you sell it. Or maybe you already sold it in the most recent update. I don't know. And I'm going to punch you for your lack of commas. Miyuki replies to OP. They are completely ignoring the fact that it's not their property to make money off of. It's your property that they were renting out. And they don't see anything wrong with that. I'm guessing they would lose their minds if you decided to rent out something they owned, like the jet skis. They're not using them after all. Why shouldn't you make money off of their stuff that they're not using? And OP replies, your logic is not lost on me. And Miyuki replies to that. Have you tried explaining it to them in those terms? I'm curious what they would say. And OP replied one last time to them. If they were reasonable and rational, none of this nonsense would have happened to begin with. I agree with that. On to the next update, update number 5, titled Crap. December 2nd, 2023. Oh, nope, that's the wrong date. I'm sorry. November 27th, 2023. Wrote most of this yesterday, but decided to wait to post it until I wasn't so wound up. Waiting didn't work. I'm still wound up. I'm sorry if this rambles. So much has happened. Hard to write coherently. Things have gone to hell. I really, truly did not think anything like this would happen. Short version, my brother-in-laws broke into my vacation home and were arrested. They've been charged with breaking and entering, destruction of property, and communicating threats. All Class 1 misdemeanors. I refuse to drop the charges. I might do so if I'm fully paid for the damage they've caused. They were still in jail as of Saturday evening. I assume they're out by now. No, fuck them. Things had settled down. At least I thought so. I hadn't seen or heard from my sisters in over 6 weeks. My parents went up to the house for a week and had a good time. David, the property manager I hired, has worked out great. He's done a couple of repairs I asked him to do, and I've given him a list that he's going to work on. He usually sends a photo or two of wildlife or a sunset to his clients every week. What's kind of making me want to go up there. Friday, after Thanksgiving, my brother-in-laws went to my vacation home. They used an angle grinder to cut through the chain on the driveway gate and damaged the gate in the process. They tried to get in through the front door, ruined the lock set, and gouged the door badly. They finally got in through the utility door and a locked internal door. They also broke into the barn. I'm not sure why. When they went out through the front door, where they were met by sheriff's deputies and David. David gets notifications from the camera system when there's activity. He saw what was going on and called the sheriff's deputies. Ooh, I love it. According to David, the brother-in-laws tried to bullshit their way out of it, but the deputies didn't buy it. Breaking into an empty house is a pretty serious thing up there. Usually it's meth heads who ransack the place and hawk everything. When the brother-in-laws were arrested, they freaked out big time, were saying how they were going to beat the hell out of me, etc. Not smart to do in front of cops, though. David and the sheriff's office tried calling my wife and me to see what we wanted to do, but we were spending the day with her parents and had left our phones in the car so we could be in vacation mode. So they booked the brother-in-laws on everything, which is what I would have asked them to do anyway. Brother-in-laws called their wives from jail, who of course freaked out. They called my folks, tried to call me, because everyone's blocked except my parents. Tried to find a lawyer up there to arrange bail, which is not easy to do given this rural area and a holiday weekend. Older sister has zero cash and her cards are maxed out, so if they made bail, my sister would have had to pay for both husbands. I know they were still in jail as of Saturday afternoon. We didn't check our phones until late Friday on the way home from the in-laws. There were a ton of calls and messages from my mom, dad, David, and the sheriff's department. Talk about ruining a great day. I was in such a good mood till I looked at my phone. My wife read through the text and listened to the messages, read them out to me, and by the time we got home, I had some idea of what was going on. I put my brain back into thinking mode and tried to get past my anger. Failed. Called David and got the rundown of what happened and how bad the damage was, resulting in more anger. I ended Friday by calling the sheriff's department and telling them there was no misunderstanding. The brother-in-laws had absolutely no right to be on my property, and I wanted to press charges. I didn't call my folks back, and I barely slept. I waited until Saturday afternoon to call my folks. They were both pretty rattled about it all, my mom in particular. My sisters had browbeat them into telling me I should call the cops and tell them it was all a mistake and that I wanted the charges dropped. I refused flat out. Told them there was no way I'd do that until I spoke with an attorney, and also not until I was paid in full for whatever it will cost to fix everything 100%. My mom was crying hard by the time we got off the phone, which of course made me feel like shit. My dad suggested it was time for a complete start over, but also said he thought they needed to pay for the damage. I hadn't gone up to the property yet. There's nothing I can do, and I'll probably go nuts when I see the damage in person. The photos are bad enough. Yet, I'm hoping to tomorrow or Wednesday, but my job isn't one I can just wander off from for non-emergencies. I've left messages with 2 attorney friends asking them to recommend the right lawyers to go after my sisters and brother-in-laws. I don't know what I can do exactly, but I'm hoping to get restraining orders. I have all the texts they've sent me. That might help. I'm strongly considering suing them for the money they've made from renting the place. I don't care about the cash, but it will help make them as miserable as possible. The gloves are definitely off at this point. Ooh. A couple of side notes. One, brother-in-laws had no idea I hired someone to keep an eye on things or that there were cameras that are there now. My parents knew, but I hadn't told them because they knew it would just give my sisters a reason to drama up. Drama up is a new phrase. There are signs on the property stating it's being monitored with cameras and no trespassing signs, though. Two, my wife has completely had it at this point. I don't blame her. She's been more than patient about it all, but she's reached her limit and was not shy about letting me know. She's told me it's up to me now how I deal with this, but she thought they all needed to be taught a hard lesson. 3, older brother-in-law likely won't face any repercussions at his job over this, but middle brother-in-law has a security clearance, so he might. I'm hoping that will be motivation for a middle brother-in-law to pay for the damages himself immediately. 4, David, the caretaker, has an interesting background. I knew he was friends with some of the deputies and figured it was because they're all local. I was wrong. He was a cop in a big city for years, was shot on duty, and afterwards decided to quit and move to where his parents had retired. He has some PTSD over it all. His dog is a certified service animal and is usually with him. I know law enforcement people tend to hang together. I guess that's how they became his friend group. 5, I don't want to see or speak with these assholes for the rest of my life. I know this is a direct conflict with my overwhelming urge to make their lives as miserable as possible. That's a hell of a way to end a sentence or an update to a story. Damn. Idle Gamer comes with a top comment, and it disappoints me because we're back down to 2 digits in the upvotes. 99. 99. So I bring it myself to 3 digits. 100 upvotes. Yeah. 100. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's what I'm talking about, baby. It's me. It's me. It's me. I'm him. The Idle Gamer comments, sorry this happened to you, pal. Crappy situation all around. But if you want a complete stranger's opinion on Reddit, I agree with your wife. Seems they won't take the hints, so a lesson will have to be learned here. I know it will be a hard thing to have to go through family-wise. Your sisters will get on at your parents, and that will then get fed down to you. But your mom and dad bearing the weight of this isn't on you. You forgot to say the word you if you meant you. It's not their problem, nor yours. Your sisters and brother-in-laws made their bed, and now they have to lie in it. Do you know why they even broke into your house yet? Was it just to prove a point? Some drunken plan they made, or were they going to steal and mess up the place? Send them the best wishes from across the pond. You'll get through this. Ooh, you British motherfucker, you. Nah, I'm messing with you. OP replies to that with 111 upvotes. I don't even need to like it. Ooh, triple digits. A lot of people have said I should have been a hard ass about all of this from day one. I've avoided it because it would have stressed out my parents, and I hate this kind of drama, but F it. They've stressed out, they're stressed out now. Yeah. My wife has pretty much opted out of any more to do with this. Doesn't want to hear about it for a while and says it's in my lap. She'll ease off on that, but I'm guessing she's not going to get involved from now on other than listen to me blow off steam. The Idle Gamer replies to them. Understandable. I wouldn't have been a hard ass from the get-go either. It might have even made you look like the bad guy in this, but you've got free reign now, really. Seems they made some really dumb decisions one after the other, and now they've put their foot in it big time. It is just stupidity of the highest order. Good parents will always want nothing bad to happen to their kids, but being a parent also means you have to occasionally let your children learn the hard way. And that's probably what's going to happen now, as your sisters would have definitely been aware of what your brother-in-laws were doing. The sense of entitlement is astounding. And we have an edit to the previous comment by OP regarding why they broke in. Conjecture on my point, but I think they were planning on using it for family getaways and or renting it out again. According to David, the property manager, it's deer season through the end of the year. I know the brother-in-laws have used it in the past as a base camp for big group hunting weekends, or weeks, I should say. It sleeps quite a few people, so one event with friends could net them thousands of dollars. Again, I'm guessing here, but that would explain why they broke into the barn as well. I bought a 6-seater mule a few years back, and they would want to use that. I don't think they wanted to trash the place. It means too much to my dad, and they both like him a lot. What is a 6-seater mule? I don't hunt anything, so I don't know. Motherfucker, a golf cart? Is this supposed to be like some kind of off-road Kawasaki mule? This motherfucker has a helmet on in this promotional picture. Oh my God. This just looks like a souped up golf cart. Those aren't even big wheels. What are those wheels? Are those wheels like a foot tall? Maybe a foot and a half. No, these are souped up golf carts. These are like the kind of golf carts you will see maintenance have for, I don't know, anything. Just not all white. They look a little tactical, you know? They look like, oh, I can drive in dirt a little bit, the way they made the wheels. Like, nah. These, from Kawasaki specifically, what do these puppies start at? The 3-passenger model starts at 15, and it goes all the way up to 18. The exclusive trans cab. No. Yeah, I guess that is a 3-passenger model. That's crazy. The 2-passenger or / 4-passenger model starts at 11. Oh, and here we go. The Mule Pro FXT 820, the 3-passenger / 6-passenger model starts at 17. $16.99, baby. $16.99. And they go all the way up to 20. Wow. For the Pro Mule DXT. So many versions. I don't give a fuck. If I ever got a smooth 20 bands to spend on a golf cart, I don't even know if I'll get a Kawasaki. And you know what? That might be one of the few brands, actually. Oh, you know what? I see Mule TM trademarked. Yeah, so that is a Kawasaki brand. So OP spent somewhere around $16,000 at a minimum to get this Kawasaki. Man, if they fucked that up, I'd be so pissed. No matter how much money I got, 16 bands, $16.99, 17 bands down the drain, I'd be hot. I'd be heated. Ooh, I'd be heated. Let's go to the next update. Update number 6. Yeah, I'm not a Simpsons character. I got 5 fingers on each hand, baby. Yeah. Or 4 fingers and 2 appendages. Not me over here trying to get a damn thumbnail. December 2nd, 2023, Saturday. Didn't think I'd be doing another post this soon, but a lot has happened over the past 2 days. All right. Thursday afternoon, I got a courier delivered envelope at my office. In it was a signed letter from both my brother-in-laws and a cashier's check for $5,000. In the letter, they made what I have to say was a really sincere apology. Among other things, they acknowledged breaking in, acknowledged it was wrong, said the $5,000 was to pay for the damage and that they pay more if it costs more than that. Also said they stay away from the vacation home unless my wife and I specifically invited them. They also asked that I do what I could to get the charges dropped as soon as possible because they both could lose their jobs and that they agreed to a restraining order or whatever else it took for that to happen. Ooh, my. There was more as well, all conciliatory, but that's the gist of it. But to say this was a shock is an understatement. It was obviously a total 180 from their past behavior. Honestly, I think they wrote the letter with ChatGPT. I'd already made an appointment with an attorney to see about suing my brother-in-laws over the damages and to try to get a restraining order. I called him and told him what I just received, and he agreed to meet with me at the end of the day instead of next week. Told me not to deposit the check. We met for about 2 hours. He ended up recommending the wife and I do a settlement and mutual release agreement with all 4 of them, sisters and brother-in-laws. He said if we went after them via a lawsuit that we'd almost certainly win, but that it could take 2 years or more. There would be a sizable upfront legal fees and that we might never see any money. He also said we could keep the $5,000 free and clear, even if we didn't let them off the hook. He's drawing up the agreement. It won't be ready until Monday. The agreement will include what's essentially the civil equivalent of a restraining order. I'd already asked my property manager to work up a bid to get the damage repaired. I called him after the meeting and asked that he get me as close an estimate as possible, ASAP. And I got that Friday. He thinks it will take around $4,000 to fix everything. Most of that is for the front door. On Friday, my attorney contacted each of the brother-in-laws, told them that what we were proposing, and advised them to get their own lawyers. They both agreed to it. The middle brother-in-law told him they could offer to pay for the damages or pay for a lawyer, but not both. And they figured a lawyer wouldn't make any difference, given that they really had no defense for what they did. His biggest concern was if the charges could be dropped. From what I can tell, they're willing to do anything, sign anything to make all of this go away. Beautiful. My attorney also called the DA's office on Friday to discuss dismissing the charges, got the name of the prosecutor and left him a message, but has not spoken to them yet. He thinks they'll dismiss the charges because the brother-in-laws are paying up and they have no priors. But then again, he's not a criminal lawyer. Also said I should be prepared to drive up there Monday or Tuesday to tell the prosecutor in person that I want everything dismissed. He also advised me to continue to be no contact with sisters and brother-in-laws, especially for the next 6 months, and that it will be really important to follow the terms of the agreement when it comes to future interactions with them. I'm guessing that the brother-in-law's change of heart is due to them having figured out what's at stake for them, what it's going to cost them in legal fees and fines and so on. There's also the highly likely possibility that they could go to jail for up to 120 days. And I've mentioned one of them has a security clearance for his job that could be at risk. So this is their Hail Mary pass to keep their normal lives. This isn't a perfect resolution to the situation, but at least it will get me past the legal and financial parts of the shit show that I've been in for the past few months. I doubt I'll ever have a civil relationship with any of them ever again, and that's fine. What I want at this point is to close this off, get on with my life, and never speak to any of them again. I'm exhausted from this. Wife feels pretty much the same way. Kind of a side issue, but getting the written apology was weirdly a huge moment for me. I wasn't expecting that ever, but apparently it matters to me quite a bit. The money doesn't feel particularly important at this point. I'll damn sure take it though. Also, I'm pretty certain my middle sister and her husband came up with the money. The cashier's check is from the credit union of the company he works for. Once things are signed, I plan to make one more update. Probably just an edit to this post. Who knows? I'm sorry for being so pedantic. Writing these posts has helped clear my head, and the feedback has really helped. I truly appreciate everyone's comments, insights, and support. And I really, really hope none of you ever have to go through this kind of nonsense. This is the vibes. I feel the vibes. But I don't trust anyone. Top comments by Unwanted 88. This update is a massive improvement. And this comment got them 147 upvotes. 147 upvotes, baby. Let's go triple digits. Triple digits solidified. Make sure that they cannot contact you unless it's through, you spelled that wrong, your lawyers also. They fucked around and found out and now are willing to do anything. Make sure your parents are in the loop about the proceedings also. That may help some overzealous, entitled behavior in the long run with your sisters. Sincerely, OP, your saga is incredibly difficult to deal with, and you are doing it like a champ. You and your wife are incredibly affected by this nonsense, and you both deserve to be done with this. But keep us informed. We are all rooting for you. Heart emoji. OP replies to that. Thanks for your kind words. To be honest, when I finally got home Thursday night, I cried from relief, thinking this might all be over. Damn, that's been weighing on your shoulders hard. Oh, here I am just making jokes at everybody's expense. I'm not going to discuss the settlement with my folks until it's signed by everyone. My sisters, brother-in-laws can if they want to, but it's between me and them. And fuck the rest of these comments. Y'all can go read the comments if y'all want to. Let's listen to the final update. Update number 7, titled Final. In parentheses, I hope. Ooh. Oh my, oh my. December 7th, 2023, Thursday. Tuesday morning, I met with my attorney and went over the agreement, changed a couple of minor things, and then he sent it to my sisters and brother-in-laws. It included a requirement that they pay for my attorney fees, about $3,000. They weren't happy about that and tried to negotiate it away, but he told them they either accept it as is or there would be no deal at all. And we'd proceed with suing them for the money they got from renting out the place, wear and tear from renting it, repair costs from their break-in, emotional distress, lost income, having to deal with this shit, attorney fees, and whatever else we could. I should have counted that with my fingers like a child. He also told them I will push hard with the DA's office to prosecute every charge. Short version, we skipping that. Oh, nope, I guess I can't skip that. Short version, they came in and signed. I wasn't there. I'm told it was a pretty tense environment, that the middle brother-in-law appeared to have taken charge, and that at one point he told both of my sisters to shut the hell up or he was walking away from the whole thing, making his own deal with us, and the rest of them could all go to hell. They provided another cashier's check for $2,500. Claim that's all they had. It's close enough that we're going to accept it as the final payment. Attorney also told me that everyone was very cold and curt towards one another, but they all managed to keep it together long enough to sign and left without making too big of a scene. I drove up to the vacation house early to check out the damage and met with the DA's office. Seeing the damage made my blood boil. It was so senseless. I was so pissed that I was ready to eat the cost of the repairs and do everything I could to ruin their lives. Tried walking it off. Failed utterly. Ended up calling a good friend who was kind enough to stay on the phone for over an hour, letting me spew and vent. He eventually got me back to focusing on the bigger picture of putting this behind me and getting on with my life. Honestly, I'm still not sure what I want to do, but I settled down enough to get some food in me and I felt better. After lunch, I went to the DA's office. I hadn't made an appointment and had to wait a while, but got to meet with the assistant DA who's got the case. Short version is that since I don't want to prosecute and brother-in-laws have already paid for the damages, that they are willing to drop all charges except trespassing, which in this case will be a Class 2 misdemeanor. Their brother-in-laws will have to plead guilty and pay whatever fine the judge sets. I'm also told that if they fight the trespassing charge or ever so much as fart in public up there, that it would go very poorly for them. It helped that the brother-in-laws didn't resist arrest. If they had, none of the charges would have been dropped. Damn, I wish they resisted. Damn, I wish they resisted. I also went by the sheriff's office to thank them for getting there so quickly and everything. Wanted to thank the deputies personally, but only spoke to the dispatch person. Dispatch person. I also tried to meet up with David, the property manager, but couldn't get a hold of him. He's out there walking his dog and taking pictures, man. A couple of notes. The agreement includes a no contract clause. Contact clause. I can't read, you guys. Basically, if any of them show up where my wife or I are, or the other way around, whoever got there last has to leave immediately. No contact except through attorneys or other mutually agreed upon third parties. They get to keep whatever they made from renting the vacation house, my big give, unless I have tax consequences, which they will be responsible for. And we release each other from all other liabilities up through the present. There's more to it than that, but those are the high points. Wife and I will sign the agreement later today. After that, I can't talk about most of this, but I can talk around it. I think that this is my final update regarding all this nonsense, but I'll respond to comments if I can. As I've said before, posting about this and reading folks' thoughts and responses has been really helpful and has probably been key in my being able to handle this in a relatively healthy way. So thank you all again. This is a vibe. Let's read the top comment that has 205 upvotes by Free Com or Comb. Damn, I can't read. Damn, I can't read. Damn, I can't read. By Freecomb 8184. Oh my God, it's 1:30 in the morning. I have been following your story from the start and can't believe how this all turned out. Your sisters and their husbands basically destroyed your family over their selfishness and pettiness. I feel your parents, as they are now caught in the middle and can never have their family together again for anything because of their daughters and spouses being so selfish. I will say you are better than me because I would not have dropped the charges or made the agreement you did. They would have been sued by me, especially after finding out they rented your vacation home without permission or considering the legality of it. I'm usually a forgiving and forget type of person, but this went way too far for that. I am glad that the legal aspect of the situation is starting to get put behind, but unfortunately, this will never end due to the family dynamics it has created. I hope your parents stay understanding with you and your wife in this situation as they have been in your previous updates. Best of luck to you, and I hope for you and your wife's sanity that this is coming to a close for you. And hope your response to that. Triple digits in the upvotes. Thanks for the kind words. I had a hard time not being vindictive, but right now I'm glad I wasn't. If they cause more drama down the road, I'll probably regret it. But if they follow the agreement, that won't happen. The family dynamics, like you said, are pretty much fucked. I've only told my parents they were trying to work things out, nothing more. They may or may not be okay with the way things will be moving forward, but I had to do what was best for my wife and I. I'm guessing that my sisters have told them a very slanted version. That's just one more turd I'll have to swing around. Really, the agreement is a more formalization of how things have been for the last few months. I know it's not how my folks wanted things to go, but I'm pretty happy with it. Who gives a fuck what your parents think? They did a piss poor job at raising all y'all. All y'all. I don't know how badly they did at raising you, but the dynamics in your family were so bad even before the story was read, even before, for maybe several years, maybe since y'all were kids, that you don't even interact with your sisters like that. You prefer not to spend time with them at family holidays. I'm not close to my own sister, but I love to see her for the holidays. Right? Spending time with family feels good, and it's a bonus that she throws down in the kitchen. that her husband throws down in the fucking kitchen. Yo, she makes this macaroni and cheese from scratch. That's the bomb. Every single year, I try to tease out of her the exact way that she makes it. All I got so far are like the ingredients for the recipe, but not the exact way that she makes it. I'm gonna get that shit from her. And Binky, if you watching this, hey, give me that goddamn recipe. All right, let me stop. Oh my God, there's something wrong with me, boy. There's something wrong with me. Yo, so we got another update. March 2024. Oldest sister and brother-in-law have filed for bankruptcy. Thought it would be worth an update for anyone who's interested. Unsurprisingly, my oldest sister and brother-in-law have filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. While I don't care about what happens to them financially or otherwise, they've also managed to drag my parents into their mess, which I'm not happy about. At the start of the year, my brother-in-law's oversized, customized Pride and Joy truck was repossessed. This bitch made motherfucker didn't give up the truck. Little dick energy. I bet you he has a recessed penis. It's on the inside of his body. Pretty embarrassing for him, I'm sure. It happened at work. He got his truck repossessed at work. Yo, this was their breaking point. Without the truck, they have to share a Kia. My parents loaned them, and they can barely fit in it with their 3 kids. Fuck them. Financially, they're fucked. They owe at least $125,000, probably more. On high interest credit cards, they have 0 equity in their house and have a couple of personal loans that I'm pretty certain they got under false pretenses. They have loans on their jet skis, ATVs, and trailers. They also owe a chunk of money from defaulting on the truck lease. Holy shit. They haven't made any payments on their credit cards or loans in months, and were behind on their house payments as well. They got out of the lease on my sister's massive SUV last year. They were upside down on it as well, so had to come up with the cash to do so. They also had to pay an attorney, the fine and court costs for my brother-in-law's trespassing charge at the vacation house. And they owe my middle sister and her husband money for the bail and their portion of the damages to the place. As I've mentioned before, my folks have never been financial wizards and have at least been generally responsible. They're retired, their home is paid off, and they live off Social Security and pensions. Altogether, they get more than they spend. Minimal savings, just an emergency fund. Turns out my folks emptied out that fund and also cashed out their small IRA, $20,000, and gave it to my sister. That let her catch up on the house payment and cover the negative equity on her car lease. But now, literally, every bit of savings my parents possessed is gone. Plus, my parents have been paying for their groceries for several months and continue to pay the insurance on the car they loaned my sister. I crash out. According to my dad, my sisters worked my mom for weeks to get her to fork over the money. They'd worked on both my folks at the same time for a while, but my dad flat out refused every time. Eventually, Mom caved. She was worried that my sister would have to move to a hovel in some backwater town and that the kids would be barefoot and eating dirt. Dad's not happy about it. And to say there's some tension between them right now is an understatement. But they'll be fine. I was pretty disappointed when my parents told me all this, but I wasn't surprised. It sucks that they emptied out their savings to help, but I kind of get it. The way bankruptcy laws are in our state, by getting caught up on the home loan, my sister should be able to keep the house. I tried hard not to say how I felt about this and my sisters. Mostly succeeded. Really, I'm way more pissed about this than I should be. The worst part for me is that my sister and brother-in-law could now contact me and my wife without any real fear of repercussions. The only penalty the no contact agreement has is that if they violate it, we can go after them for the money they made from renting out the vacation house and related damages. Since they filed for bankruptcy, that's now not an impediment for them. I'm hoping they'll leave us alone, but who knows? Folks also told me that my middle sister and her husband have hit a rough spot and that he's not currently living with her and the kids. Just a guess, but I imagine he's had it with the whole family dynamic that caused this nonsense. He's a bitch-made little loser who allowed himself to be dragged into breaking and entering and destroying property. Obviously, he's a terrible person. He needs to reflect on himself and become a better person along with his wife if he wants to have a good relationship with his kids and the rest of his family. He is a piece of shit, like everyone in this story so far, excluding OP. Not directly related, but on a brighter note, I spent 2 weekends at the mountain house since the start of the year. Once with my wife and once alone. Both times there was a lot of snow. It was incredibly beautiful and relaxing, very therapeutic, but also has a good internet service now. Oh, the place has good internet service now. Thanks, Starlink, which is nice. Fuck Starlink. Fuck Elon Musk. He's a bitch. Plus, knowing that I can count on David, the property manager, to keep the place in shape / ready for us to visit and to help if we get snowed in, eliminates most of the stress in owning it. My folks have used it a few times as well and get along great with David. I like and hate this update. Karma is good. Karma is good. I hate that the children have to go through this bullshit, right? They weren't choosing to be raised into little, I can't even call them bad names for real, right? Because we only have this one incident that led to all this bullshit, honestly, that led to the opening of Pandora's box, right? Because this one incident set off the sequence of events that tipped the scales of balance and has set both of these families, really all 4 of these families, which is really one large family underneath the family name or the parents or whatever, who gives a fuck, right? That has set these families on this teetering path of a snowball down a small vacation home mound, right? So it's not an avalanche. It's not an avalanche. People file Chapter 7 bankruptcy all the time. But the fact of the matter that they get to keep their home is perfect, right? If only the brother-in-law, the eldest one, wasn't an idiot, right? A ignoramus, a fool of the highest degree, he would have turned in his vehicle. He would have turned in his vehicle. He would have took the hit, and he would have been in that little Kia already. Idiots. Top comment. Triple-digit upvote counts. With 168 upvotes. Well, karma seems to be catching up with the wannabe Joneses. I am really sorry that your sisters grifted. I can read. I know how to do that. Grifted your parents out of their savings. Unfortunately, they are adults and choose to cave to their daughters. Can you still get a restraining order for harassment with your older sister and brother-in-law? They might not be bound by the signed agreement, but if they are calling, texting, or emailing you and you don't want the contact, that might be enough to get a restraining order. Restraining order. They said RO. I can read. Especially since they... Yo, this might be an ongoing bit I keep doing. Especially since there is already a record of brother-in-law's actions. I feel bad for you that your crazy sisters are continuing to cause mischief. Even if it isn't directly on you, it is still affecting you. Before I even read OP's reply to that, I can continue to drag the parents. I can continue to drag the parents with us. It makes me extrapolate my thoughts even more. The fact of the matter that the daughters feel entitled to are unaware of their parents' finances to such a degree and feel entitled to come after their life's savings to get them out of a hard patch that they caused themselves. I don't even know if the sisters work, We know that the brother-in-laws work. I don't know if they work, but they should be working their ass off, getting off of work, and before they lost their vehicles, they should have been DoorDash and Amazon flexing to make extra cash to get from underwater on all the spending that they've been doing, all their debt. Because at the end of the day, even though it may be, fuck big businesses like the banks and the creditors, the credit card companies, because the interest rates that they charge and the loans that they give out are predatory to just such a high degree. No, these motherfuckers had enough money that they were able to get $125,000 worth of credit. $125,000 worth of credit. I work with motherfuckers who make six figures. I work with motherfuckers who have $20,000 on singular credit cards, and they don't even have $125,000 of credit cards total. Maybe it's the interest that stacked on that brought it to such a high level, but if interest is 25%, then that's $100,000 in credit. $100,000. I would love $100,000 of credit. I got a list of camera equipment right now that's $100,000 long. Right, it's gonna take me forever to buy all that shit, but I'm gonna do it. Excuse me. Yeah, the parents did bad. I can understand a little bit of altruism and like having fell to the manipulation for the mom to hand over the $20,000 from their IRA plus. Hold on. Let me see. 20,000 from the IRA plus their emergency fund. Yep. So $20,000 plus. It says around $20,000 for the small IRA, but if you throw in the emergency fund, an emergency fund is like a month's worth of bills, right? So if you remove a mortgage from that, you can imagine that to be like $1,000. So if it wasn't 20 grand even, 20 grand plus for the IRA, if it was 19, you throw in 1,000 with the emergency fund, it's 20 bands right there. 20 bands? 20 bands? It's crazy work, bro. Crazy work. People, do not live outside of your means. This is one thing right here. I've made so many poor financial decisions without telling anyone about the shit that I'm going through. Prideful, egotistical man I am. And I can admit to that. I have fucked up so much, right? These people are getting their shit repossessed. When I was 21, I had my car repossessed. But I didn't have a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old child. I didn't have, how old are the eldest brother-in-law and sister's kids? 7, 9, and 10? 7, 8, and 10? I didn't have 3 kids, right, at 21. I was able to make the fucked up financial decisions, and I was able to fall back on my parents. They didn't give me $20,000 to pay my vehicle off, right? That shit eventually got garnished out of my wages. It eventually got paid off in full, right? Damn, I'm giving y'all my lore. It's crazy. But I could never imagine making these decisions willingly in my 30s. The world is going to shit. I'm laid off. I've lost everything. All right, time to run these credit cards up. Time to take out these predatory loans. My parents are in financial straits. Something happened. All right, time to run those credit cards up. Time to take out some predatory loans. Right, that will put me in a predicament. I've become addicted to gacha packs and video games because my ADHD is, and I'm not handling it well. Now I'm behind on bills and credit cards payments, which the credit card payments are still bills, right? I can understand certain circumstances, certain situations, but not, again, willingly walking into over $100,000 of debt, multiple repossessions of vehicles, and a potential foreclosure on a home, dog. Like, this isn't even COVID times. This is post-COVID. Terrible, man. OP's reply to Stray's mom: if they start up again, I do indeed plan to get a restraining order. In fact, my wife made it clear to me she expects a very hard approach to any BS from them going forward. Excuse me. Which I agree, of course. I had the security cameras at our house upgraded at the start of the year, just in case they come by. I also kept all their previous texts and provided screenshots to my attorney for safekeeping. If they cause any trouble at the vacation house, they're toast. The sheriff's department and DA's office have the full story and are sympathetic to our situation. Kira responds to OP, or replies, I should say. In the event they lose their house, either they'll coerce your parents to move in with them, or demand you give your vacation house to them to live in. This ordeal might not be over for you yet. OP replies, thankfully, my folks live in an over 55 community, so they can't move in there. Plus, the house is not anywhere near large enough for 7 people unless everybody stays in their great room all the time. And God knows where they park. Living in the vacation home isn't practical for them either. Again, something I'm happy about. With traffic, it's probably 3 hours from there to brother-in-law's job. They'd have to have 4-wheel drives to live there year-round, too. Plus, from what I understand, the schools there are not very good. I'm being polite. And as much as I dislike my sister, I'll say that she's all in on keeping her kids in good schools. They can afford their current house once they get through bankruptcy, assuming they change how they spend. I think they'll have to. No one in their right mind would lend them money or give them a credit card. They won't be able to take a fancy vacation or swap out his truck every couple of years for an even bigger one. Yeah, I admit that goddamn truck fetish of his really bugs me. But they'll live just fine. It's not like a family of 5 is going to suffer when they're taking in close to $200,000 per year. Hopefully, I'm not being Pollyannish about all this. That's a new one. That is interesting. Pollyannish. Resembling or suggesting a Pollyanna, especially by having an optimistic nature characterized by a tendency to find good in everything. Oh, a gullible son of a bitch then. A person characterized by irresponsible optimism and a tendency to find good in everything. That's a Pollyanna. Yeah, fuck that. Coming straight from Merriam-Webster, dictionary.com. Pollyannish. If you guys learned a new word today with me, comment what? Pronounce that again? Down below. Oh my God. Guys, wouldn't you know, there's another update. July 2024 updates. I love it. There's been a fair number of requests for an update, and considering this coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the pool incident, I thought I'd post one. My folks worked through mom giving my older sister her IRA and their emergency fund. Altogether, mom gave her $45,000. Yo, I got a really nice bridge for sale. According to Dad, once Mom realized how much she'd been manipulated, she got as mad and upset as he'd ever seen her. I think she had a moment of clarity. She and Dad ended up calling my sisters on a 3-way call, and according to Dad, it went south pretty quickly. Sisters were gaslighting them. Mom lost her cool and ended up ripping into them hard. There were lots of tears, and eventually both sisters hung up. Mom really just wanted both sisters to acknowledge that they put her and Dad in a risky financial situation. Typical blow-up, I guess, but not the kind of thing that happens in our family. The next morning, my dad called my older sister and told her he'd be picking up the car they loaned her. Ooh. She tried to argue, but he told her it wasn't up for discussion. He got a neighbor friend to take him to her house as soon as he hung up and drove it home without talking to her. Sister called and went off on him, said lots of nasty stuff, which of course hurt him. But at least they have the car back. Did he get the key too? Because he didn't talk to her. Did he get the key? Did he use the spare key? I hope he didn't leave her with a key. Dad also told me something that left me dumbfounded. For the past 17 years, they were giving both sisters a grocery allowance that was up to $500 per month. What the fucking fuck? I thought I had a pretty good handle on where their money was going, but clearly I was wrong. This started back when I was going to grad school and living at home. My sisters asked for the money because they thought it wasn't fair that I was living at home rent-free. And then it just never ended. In any case, my parents cut them off. Unsurprisingly, my sisters weren't happy about it. Who the hell gets an allowance from their parents when they're in their 40s? Because of all this, my folks and sisters quit talking for a while. Don't know if they've resolved everything, but they appear to be on speaking terms again. Though my folks aren't having them or the kids over, I'm in this don't ask mode. It's their business. My folks are using the vacation home fairly regularly. Currently, they're there for a 2-week stay, and then we'll probably make it 3. Unfortunately, my wife and I haven't spent any time there lately, other than me having made a couple of day trips to check on it and drop off some supplies. The property manager I hired, David, is still taking good care of the place. Side note, middle sister told my mom that the oldest sister had been making over $6,000 per month renting the house out, and that it had been going on for nearly 3 years. $6,000 every month. So there's more to the story. Hold on. There's more to the story. So $72,000 plus the $200,000 plus they were already making because brother-in-law's job, or maybe both of their jobs. So nearly $300,000, and these motherfuckers were still in debt. $72,000 for 3 years. Do the math with me. Do the monkey with me. 7 plus 7 plus 7. 7, 14, 21. 7 times 3. Right? 210,000. 2 plus 2 plus 2. Right? 2 plus 2 plus 2. 6,000. $216,000 max. Give or take. Over $200,000 in extra income for doing no labor besides wiping some shit down and doing some laundry. A little bit of gas. $200,000 in extra funds in 3 goddamn years. Let's go back to the story. Let's not get upset. Because these dumb fucks are in debt. They're in debt. Let's go back to the story. Pretty certain she didn't declare the income. So that's like grossing $8,000 to $9,000 per month. I will forever find that galling. Oldest sister and brother-in-law still have their house. My attorney checked up on their bankruptcy case. The court converted it from Chapter 7 to Chapter 13, which I believe means they have to pay back a lot more of their debts. They got bent over. No lube. No Vaseline. Middle sister and her husband are still separated. Damn. I don't know if my middle brother-in-law has had any issues with his security clearance because of breaking into the house. I do know he's still with the same big defense company. At my parents' request, I've been working on putting their house into a trust. They want me to manage their affairs as they get older and keep the house safe from my sisters. I'm working with an attorney, but it's not done yet. Folks have asked me to be the trustee and have also given me full power of attorney. The best part about the last few months is that my sisters/brother-in-laws have left us alone and have stayed away from the vacation home. Wife and I are really happy to be back to our normal lives. Hope everyone's lives are going great. My life is pretty good. You know, I could use the extra $6,000 a month though. I could use the extra $6,000 a month though. You know, my life would be going pretty great. Pretty great if I got an extra $72,000 a year. You know, times are hard. Times are hard, and I'm making it. And I'm here, but I could use the extra $8 to $9,000 pre-tax every single month. My God, yo. Top comment. Oh, Miyuki_M is back. And they got 180 votes, baby. Triple digits. Every time you add new info about your sisters, the more I dislike them. Bro, it's the parents. The parents have spoiled the fuck out of their kids. I guess maybe they lucked out with OP. We don't know the shitty things that he does in life, right? Because it's from his perspective, these stories are coming in. And he's talking about the fucked up things that's happening to him, right? So, but I don't get $500 a month from my parents for grocery money. I don't get allowances in my 30s. I never got a regular allowance ever as a kid. It's here, do these chores. Here's a couple bucks. And then it was clean your goddamn room. But not in that way. Not in that way. They didn't yell at me like that. OP replies to Miyuki. Yeah, every time I write one of these updates, I do too. I dislike them more and more too. One of the reasons I haven't done so in a while. And Miyuki replies to him, I feel so badly for your parents. I hope that with your help, they'll start putting themselves first. Your sisters need to be accountable for cleaning up their own messes. I don't feel badly for the parents. Maybe for the dad, because the mom made a unilateral decision to empty out their emergency fund and their Roth IRA, which takes forever to fill up to over $20,000, right? Because as we see with the emergency fund and the Roth, it's 45 bands. Crazy number. Right, even if the Roth was 20 and the emergency fund was 25, right? Let's say they don't have like great health insurance, so 25,000 is like a good number to have. I've slipped and I fell. I've broken my hip. All right, $25,000 immediately on a new hip. You got the best hip. All right. I can understand when you have grandkids putting yourself first, right? When you decide to or accidentally get pregnant, have children, they need to be first until 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, right? Until they're out the house, financially are stable on their own, are well-adjusted, well-educated. They need to come first, right? Do you put yourself first sometimes for like your health, physical and mental? Yeah. So your relationship with your partner doesn't suffer. Yeah. Right. But they come first in all aspects because they did not ask to be here. They did not decide to come out your balls and out your ovaries. Right. They didn't decide to develop themselves. Well, I mean, technically their cells did. Right. But they wouldn't have been able to survive on their own. They would not. Right. Without you taking care of them. You made the decision to have them. You made the decision to keep them. You made the decision to raise them. And now that they have their own kids, they should be putting their kids first, right? You guys should be retired and relaxed, but you did such a bad job of raising them. You need to spin back. You need to look at all your failures in your parenting and try to be a good influence in their lives. Or at least I would have said that several updates ago. Everything's kind of fucked now. Oof. All right. OP's reply to Miyuki. Thanks. My parents are good. They tell me they're happy and they have plenty to do. Yeah, because they going to your vacation home that you got them and they're fucking. They're spending 3 weeks up there in the snow. What's this date? This is July 2024. They got the AC on and they're fucking. They got some beers, some bathing suits with their wrinkly skin, and they're fucking. They're enjoying they're enjoying their retirement. One of their ongoing things is One of their ongoing things is volunteering for Meals on Wheels. Oh my God. I'm over here talking about their fucking, but they're volunteering. If y'all didn't know, I have these desks right here. Damn, is this light even on? Oh, it is. If y'all didn't know, these desks that I have are standing desks, so I can raise them up and lower them to certain heights. I accidentally hit the button on one of these and threw everything off. Oh my God, I'm talking about their fucking, but they're out here volunteering. That's literally the next line. I stopped reading to make that joke. I'm a terrible person. Am I as bad as their parents? Maybe I'm worse because I don't volunteer for Meals on Wheels. I don't have any kids yet, so I can't even compare my parenting style to theirs. I guess I'll have to spin back in 30 years. Or 40 plus years when my kids are in their 40s. Damn, I'll be in my 70s. Oh my God, I'm old. Where's the well-adjusted, physically able-bodied, intelligent, educated young women who are single in the state of Michigan? Drop a comment. Drop a comment. If y'all want kids, though. No crazy people, please. I did say well-adjusted. Continuing on to read the comment by OP because I am losing the plot. That's actually why they have the Kia. They bought it from an older neighbor who'd driven it for the program for years. I just put my whole foot in my mouth with that joke. It fits just the right amount of insulated boxes for a couple of people to distribute in a few hours. I put my foot all the way in my mouth. Y'all seeing this? They didn't like using their main car for deliveries. Said their car started smelling like yesterday's lunch after a while. All right. Miyuki's last reply to OP. The local Meals on Wheels in my mother's area delivered to her for the last couple of years of her life. Aw. And it was so helpful. Your parents are good people. Heart emoji. Yeah. Moonrow McLaren dropped a comment underneath Miyuki's. Meals on Wheels helped my mom and my brother and I when my dad was deployed. My brother was a newborn and I was 4. Yo, shout out to Meals on Wheels. It's a little bit of dust. I thought it was a bug. If you guys didn't know, OP replies to a lot of these comments. A lot of these comments. There are so many comments. So you guys can go read these on your own if you want to. But we're over to the December 2024 update. December 14th, 2024. Some folks have asked for an update, so here you go. Am I do it? I was about to mispronounce a word, so I played it off. Well, how did y'all like that? In August, my attorney let me know he'd received a letter for me from my middle brother-in-law. This was the first contact from any of my sisters or their husbands since they'd been arrested. It was a long letter, had a sincere apology and a lot of information he thought I should know. Biggest thing was that he and my sister are divorced, not separated. Ooh, T. He moved out and filed for divorce right after we made the settlement agreement. He and my middle sister kept it quiet until it was done. Their house sold in June and she's moved into an apartment. He told me that his being arrested last year, along with my other brother-in-law, for breaking into the vacation house could have cost him his job and killed his career. and that it was a huge moment of clarity for him. He said that dynamic between the four of them, my sisters, him, and my oldest sister's husband, had become totally toxic. That they are all borderline alcoholics or worse, and that he had to get away from that environment. He no longer speaks to my oldest sister or her husband. You are who you hang around. He also asked if he, my dad, and I could meet and have an extended conversation, as there were things he needed to talk about in person. Frankly, I was unenthused, but my wife thought it was worth doing. I asked my dad if he was interested. He was. So I relayed a response to my now ex-brother-in-law through my attorney, and we met over lunch. We talked for over 2 hours. It was pretty exhausting. Ex-brother-in-law looked better than I'd seen him in, well, forever. He's quit drinking, is in therapy, has lost a lot of weight, and looked fit. Yo, was this the brother-in-law who face planted at the beginning of the story? He was apologetic about all the BS he's been involved in and apologized to my dad for hiding the divorce. Told us therapy is really helping him. I approve. Asked me if the $5,000 he sent covered all the damage to the vacation house. I told him it had, and thanked me for talking to the county prosecutor. Said he is strongly considering transferring to a new project that would have him living overseas for the next few years. Is it fuck your kids? Or that he really needed to reset his life, but he was trying to balance his mental health against not being part of his kids' lives every day. It is fuck your kids. I see. Ex-brother-in-law also hit us with what, for me, was quite the what the fuck? Apparently, my sisters have hated me since before I was born, but have always hidden it from the rest of us. They liked things better when there were just the two of them. He said when they drank, which was whenever they were together, my sisters would often bitch about me being the favorite child, how my folks gave me more opportunities than they had, how my doing well was a result of that, and that I didn't deserve my success. None of that made any sense to me or Dad. All three of us went to the same public schools, had dumb part-time jobs, etc. My folks paid for 100% of their college. Not mine. I got a full scholarship. I was pretty shocked by this, but my dad was literally speechless. Yeah, you're finding out how much of a shitty parent you are. No, again, for the umpteenth time, aren't you? Dad eventually said he had no clue they felt that way as kids, and that he and Mom had never favored any of us. He's still having a hard time with this. Personally, I'm embarrassed that I was clueless about it all my life, but it does explain a lot. Yeah, sometimes you're too close to it, like your parents. Ex-brother-in-law warned us that my sisters and remaining brother-in-law intended to put a full court press to alienate my folks from my wife and me. They also planned to keep the grandkids away from my folks to pressure them. He said that they're still 1,000% convinced that my folks are sitting on a ton of money. They want some of it ASAP and are sure I'd stop my folks from giving them anything. That got a laugh out of my dad because he and my mom simply don't have any real money. They do have their house, of course. Ex-brother-in-law also told us that he and my middle sister had rented out the vacation home a total of 6 times over the years. He offered to pay me what they'd made. I declined and told him it was in the past. You're a bitch. He also told us my older sister / brother-in-law had never declared the income from renting out the vacation house. He did. He didn't want to get in trouble with the IRS. I understand. Even the Joker doesn't fuck with the IRS. And he's a sociopath of the highest degree. Both my dad and I spoke with ex-brother-in-law separately for a few minutes. Don't know what they talked about. I thanked him for his apology and for making things right financially. He didn't. He offered to. You didn't accept. You should have took that money. Also wished him well and told him I'd be willing to talk with him again down the road. Why? Don't think that's going to happen. Oh, you're just being nice. I probably could have been more forgiving, but I think he appreciated me not bullshitting him by acting like all this crap hasn't affected me and my wife. There was more, but it's less important, and this is too long as it is. No, give me the tea. After ex-brother-in-law left, I asked my dad if he, mom, and I could sit down and talk about all this. I didn't mean immediately, but that's how he took it. He called mom and let her know I was coming over, so I rolled with it. She was pretty hurt by my sister's plans to ruin her and dad's relationship with me and my wife and use the grandkids as pawns. She cried a lot and wanted to confront them immediately. Dad got her to put a pin in it, at least for a while. Mom was also dumbfounded about me supposedly being the favorite child. She feels like they were actually more strict with me because I had a hard curfew and my sisters didn't. To be honest, I barely remember that. It was like 25 years ago. A couple of side notes. One, middle sister eventually told our folks she's divorced. She's currently living off child support and her half of the home sale. Supposedly, she's trying to find a job. This bitch never had a job this whole time. The parents did such a terrible job raising these kids. Two, my parents have gone low contact with both sisters. No idea how permanent that is, but mom seems like she's completely had it with them for the foreseeable future. They're spending a lot of time at the vacation house. We're up there. I'm saying we're and were. We're up there over a month at one point. Damn, they were up there for a whole month. Yo, it wasn't no Meals on Wheels. It was 3. Ex-brother-in-law found my Reddit posts. He's not terribly happy about them, but feels they're more or less accurate. Though obviously he found them slanted towards my point of view. He disagreed that he's boring, but said to be fair, that he finds me boring as well. I can live with that. Our worlds don't have much overlap except my sister. I don't know anybody who works in any defense, whatever. Moving on. 4, we got the trust set up for my parents' house. I'm the trustee. Good job. 5, and last, all this has been emotionally draining for me. I decided it would be a good idea for me to see a therapist again. I've seen one in the past, mainly for stress-related issues. I've been doing so for a while, and it's definitely helpful. Therapist tells me my decision to stay no contact with my siblings is healthy for now, but also wants me to keep an open mind down the road. Merry Christmas to all. And to all a good night. Not making that part up. He just says Merry Christmas to all. And if you're seeing this around Christmas time, Merry Christmas to you. And if you're seeing this in July like it actually is, don't you hate the fucking heat? It's so hot. It's so hot. Hate all your major multi-billion-dollar corporations. The normal thing is like, the environment. I should recycle. Your recycling means nothing in the grand scheme. Even if we all recycle, there is enough pollution put out just by a handful of companies that 8 billion people recycling the things that they have means nothing. It's a drop and a drop and a drop and a drop in a bucket in the fucking ocean. Wait, what made me say that? Oh my God. Yeah. So think about that, like, pipeline of school to marriage, right? The sisters went to college, 100% paid full, got degrees, then immediately got married and had kids. Like, the sister-in-law, their kids at the youngest, at the beginning of the story, the middle sister-in-law, I believe, was 7. No matter what, all the kids, all 5 kids were between 7 and 11. It's officially almost 2 whole years later in the timeline of the story. So the youngest child would be 9. You have no reason to be a stay-at-home mom. You have no reason to be a stay-at-home mom. Get your ass to work. be a productive member of society. Work a 9 to 5 or 6 to 3 or a part-time job, have a business, give back to your community, grow a community garden while your kids are at school. I think about that pipeline from school to marriage. Even though these kids older than me and they're grown as shit, even though these adults were raised poorly, the sisters had no time to go out into the real world and experience things so they could at least get their teeth fucking kicked in for being spoiled, entitled pieces of shit. Because I'm sure they've always been shitty, right? But apparently they can hide their feelings well enough that their parents won't even know that our youngest brother gets treated the best. He's the favorite child. No. Even if OP is somehow a shitty person, just like most parents do, they probably got better after raising one kid than another kid and then raising the next one. So the OP lucked out. Definitely smart enough to get a full ride scholarship. All right, going from a public school to college. Top comment. Triple digit upvotes, 204 upvotes by Feminist in Pink. Thanks for sharing the update. It's good you met with ex-brother-in-law. As I'm sure that belch might have pissed you off if you're listening intently, that helped answer some questions for you. Though some of those things were difficult to hear, I'm sure. My heart aches for your parents. Your sisters seem determined to punish them for imagined slights. I hope your sisters get some help. And OP replies to that. Triple digit upvotes, 212. I think my sisters aren't trying to punish my folks so much as they're trying to manipulate them into handing over the non-existent inheritance early. And if my parents' relationship with their grandkids gets screwed up, it's just collateral damage. That might sound overly cynical on my part, but I think it's the most likely situation. Yo, guys, comment down below. If you have an IRA and you expire, does that automatically go to your kids? I got a Roth. I got a couple bucks in there. I think everything's set up to go to my mom because I ain't got no family, you know? I ain't got no kids, no wife. So I'm curious about that. That guy, Malcolm, replies to OP. They're feeding off of each other, but once they stop seeing results from that, especially if your parents go into contact with them. Why is there a question mark there? They're feeding off of each other, but once they stop seeing results from that, especially if your parents go into contact with them. Oh, I see. You mean to phrase it in such a way that if, I see. They'll turn on each other and it'll be a mess. Get the popcorn ready. And OP replies to them, as long as they stay away from us, I don't care what they do or what happens to them. Hey. And Blue-Bean22 quotes that guy, Malcolm. They're feeding off of each other. ... Drops to me ellipses. That's maybe the most fascinating part. How the four of them, now three, led by the sisters, combined to create that toxic environment together. Now, I'm not calling the threesome killers, but as an extreme example, that toxic combination of energy is what enabled the Columbine shooters to do that. Oh, that was their name? Ooh. As well as the two guys from In Cold Blood. Alone, they were all shiftless, ne'er-do-wells. But combined, they dropped the surprised emoji. Never have I ever read the phrase ne'er-do-wells. It's N-E''ER. And you have to have dashes between each word. That is crazy. If you're a millennial, I think we probably heard this a lot with like the Ed and Eddie and Codename Kid Next Door, ne'er-do-wells. I don't watch shows with closed captions on. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. We learned a new word today. We now know how to spell where dwells. Am I even saying it right? Where dwells. I'm feeling self-conscious now. Finishing up the comment, I find that dynamic absolutely fascinating. I think back to when I was a stupid kid and how a combination of friends created some new type of dynamic that got us collectively in trouble. Alone, we would have never acted that way. This was nothing violent, but just stupid kid crap where we egged each other on. I bet the brother-in-law who got out of that is looking back at his behavior in horror right now. Glad at least someone came to his senses. Anyway, so interesting. Thank you for sharing. OP, I wish you and your remaining family every kind of peace and happiness. Happy holidays. And we're going to continue on with that path because I was going to make a comment on, you are who you keep around you. You are your friends. You are those that you interact with, right? But account mitosis might be hitting us with some knowledge. They reply to Blue Bean 22 saying it's a fascinating and extremely important component of psychology, especially criminal psychology. If you look back to the crime that went viral where two girls tried to kill one another because Slender Man wanted them to, it turns out it had nothing to do with Slender Man at all and everything to do with an extremely toxic interpersonal dynamic. On a much less serious note, I've been recently working through a lot of trauma from being bullied in grade school by a group of boys who were all individually completely fine, but turned into a menace in a group. It took me a long time to even acknowledge it as bullying and trauma because it wasn't like each kid was individually a bully. They were just turned into some kind of hive mind nightmare when they were all together. And we were all in the gifted kid classes. So there was only a single class for a lot of our subjects, and we couldn't be separated out into different classes. Trying to put them in non-honors classes would have made them significantly worse because a large part of their behavior was due to boredom. They nearly drove a number of teachers into early retirement over the years, and I think a few did quit. I wonder how schools handle this kind of situation, these kind of issues, especially since you're grown now. I wonder if things like that get nipped in the bud early, especially when classes are smaller because they're honor classes and the kids are younger. So generally the teachers are younger, so they might have more energy to be able to handle issues like this. There needs to be a way from pre-K, kindergarten, first through fifth grade to put a good base standards of morals and values into the subject matter that is taught in all classes: English, math, science, social studies, which is history, maybe, right? Or civics, whatever you may call it, right? So the kids learn how to act right and be right, and they become good, upstanding citizens. Not like a type of brainwashing, but a type of education that sets them up to understand, not even understand, but be a good person off rip, right? I'm sure there's like a minimum standard you can like set, right, on how a person should act in a society of today, right? And there should be a way of like because again, first to fifth grade, 5 years, and then add on pre-K and kindergarten, because sometimes those are different schools, up to 7 years of education, right? I guess it's kind of like a sneaky way, right? On getting them to be good, right? And then, of course, things get more, what's the word I'm looking for? There's more to learn when it comes to the regular subjects when middle school and high school. So that may get moved to the side. But when you reinforce behaviors early on and you get taught how to act early on, and as we can see, when you're in a group and your friend group is most likely the ones who you go to school with, everyone's all being taught the same and all receiving the same information, there would be no way to deviate, right? It's just very simply the socioeconomic issues. They go hand in hand with behavioral issues. You know, when you're poor, your parents work more, and or they're alcoholics. They're alcoholics, like the story. Even though these motherfuckers made $200,000. I don't know how much the ex brother-in-law made, but he made enough to be able to cash out. What was it? 5 bands and then 3 bands, or 2,500, I should say. 5 bands, then 2,500, back to back within like a month or two. So I'm not sitting on $7,500 at my bank because these were cashier's checks from his credit union. I'm not sitting on that. All right, I got to dip into my Roth. I got to dip into my 401k. I got to dip into my savings account. I got to dip into my HYSA, which is just the same thing. I don't put shit. I don't put shit into my I don't put shit into my credit union's savings account. They got such a shit ass interest rate. I got like pennies in there. Oh my God. You know what? I might have like $50 in there. I need to move that out expeditiously. Put all your money into a high yield savings account, but make sure that they're backed by a proper brick and mortar bank that is properly regulated by the banking system, right? Because some of these online banks like Cash App, they are backed by brick and mortar banks, but they're set up in really weird ways. So even though they say they are FDIC insured, if they ever hit a blip with their money, they can dip out and fuck you. They can dip out and fuck you. All right, they can go out of business tomorrow, and you could say I had 10 bands in my FDIC. You're not getting that shit. All right, it's happening with lesser known companies, but the ones that have been doing a shit ton of marketing to poor people, which is weird to call people poor. People who ain't got as much bread as others, right? The majority, you know, a lot of people, the majority of Americans don't get a lot of money. Man, compared to motherfuckers making $200,000 a year, I don't make that. I wish I did. But maybe you can subscribe to my Patreon and we can get me there. And I will absolutely start taking my time out to go volunteer with Meals on Wheels. Or shit, you subscribe to my Patreon, you can let me know who I should volunteer with, right? Because sometimes these places suck. What was I yapping about? Don't put your money with some of these online app-esque bank accounts, these high yield savings accounts. Yeah, because some of them are scams. Some of them are scams. If you ever get with any kind of financial institution and they're like, hey, spin this wheel, hit this roulette, and maybe you can win some money. They're on some scammy shit. Leave them. Get with your local credit union. If you served the United States military, right? You are a veteran, or your parents are veterans, or you're a veteran, your parents are veterans, right? Maybe your siblings. Try to bank with Navy Federal Credit Union. That's who I bank with, right? My father served in the Marines. My aunt served in the Marines. He has Navy Federal Credit Union because I am his son. He was able to get me in with them, and I have Navy Federal Credit Union, right? And they take good care of me. It's fuck Bank of America. Fuck Bank of America. If you do not have an immediate family member that served the United States military, get with Pentagon Federal Credit Union, right? To my knowledge, these are the 2 best credit unions in the United States. If you have a credit union like through your college or through your job, right, and you work at like a really big multi-billion-dollar company, those are probably good, right? As long as you have access to ATMs physically near you, and you're able to get your money in and out of your account within like a business day. But if it takes 2 or 3 business days to make a deposit, nah, you don't want to fuck with them for real. You don't want to fuck with them for real. I forget what some of these other credit unions are, but generally like the ones that are associated with schools. What's that one? If you know good credit unions, drop a comment down below. If you know several good credit unions, drop a comment down below. Right? Not no little itty bitty one that only serves a particular state. Right, because people from all over the world listen. I feel happy. I appreciate y'all for listening. But yeah, drop a comment down below. I'm fucking yapping my ass off. Yeah, what were we talking about? We were talking about like kids getting together and friends getting together and being a bad influence on each other, and then the psychology. It's 2:30 in the morning. The psychology aspect of them going from being all right kids to fucking menaces, right? Yeah. If you got a background in psychology, speak on it. Drop a comment. Speak on it. Speak on it. Speak on it. So, with my yapping, we make it all the way up to April 2026 for the most recent update, baby. Let's dive in. April 18th, 2026. Sorry, this post is so long. I haven't been back on Reddit for a while. I was using my old laptop today. It was still logged into the site. I saw some messages asking for an update, so here you are. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. The short version is that, yes, as predicted, my sisters did come at my folks again to try to suck money out of them and get them to turn on me. They failed. It got ugly, and my folks barely talk to either of them these days. Ooh, the long, gory details. Please note that most of what I'm saying regarding my sisters is info from my folks. Let's get it. At the start of the year, I decided to replace my folks' car. I'd paid for the last one about 8 years ago when Dad retired, and it was still in good shape. Relatively low miles and was still reliable, but it was still 8 years old, and I didn't want them to be stranded, especially if they were up at the vacation home. So for an early 50th wedding anniversary, I got them a new mid-sized Toyota SUV with all-wheel drive. Yo, let me borrow a couple of dollars. I mentioned the car stuff because it became the point of entry for my siblings' latest campaign to get money from them. The first several months of 2025 were quiet. My folks and my sisters established somewhat of a detente. They were talking occasionally, and my mom and dad saw their grandkids a few times. Basically, no drama. Both my folks were happy with that, and my mom was fairly verbal about how much lower stress their lives was this way. Yeah. Being low contact had helped her realize how much my sister's behavior was wearing down on her. Dad was fine with it too, but he's pretty laid back to begin with and hadn't been in the firing lane as much as Mom. For their anniversary, my folks had a small party at the clubhouse where they live. Wife and I couldn't make it, so my parents invited the sisters and their families. At the party, my sister saw our folks' new car and made multiple comments about how well off they must be to be able to afford it. A few days later, they approached Mom and tried to get her to pay for all 5 kids' summer camps, right then and there. They told her that I had always paid for it in the past, a total lie, and was refusing, so she and Dad needed to step up. In addition, they told her, you obviously have plenty of money. You bought a fancy new car, even though you don't need it. A bit of background for those unfamiliar with these programs like I was. In higher income social circles, it's popular to have your kids go to fancy summer camps that last about a month. They aren't cheap. Currently $4,000 to $5,000 per kid, plus other expenses while they're there. I'm sorry. Do they learn anything there? Or do they just get to play and get preyed upon by teenagers and weird ass adults like, a certain guy who owned a certain island? Some summer camps are more. Supposedly, lifelong friendships are established, connections are made, etc. At least that's what my wife explained to me. She used to go. Neither I nor my sisters ever did. So we're talking $25,000 for all 5 kids that my sisters expected our parents to hand over on the spot because otherwise they'd lose their slots. Mom gave a flat out no. They started badgering her and were still at it when Dad got home. The whole thing became a yelling match. My folks kept saying they didn't have that kind of money and wouldn't spend it that way anyhow. And the sisters kept telling them, stop hoarding your money and help us now. Not when you're dead. I can't believe I just read that. What the fuck? It got Mom pretty shook up. During the argument, my folks told them I'd bought both their last cars and the new one, which I'd asked them not to do, but I get why it happened. This caused my sisters to go ballistic, and they started claiming that I'd given my folks their money and that they should sell the car or get a loan against it and give the money to them. What? At that point, Dad made them leave, and they've been mostly no contact with my sisters since then. My parents did get all the kids Christmas presents, and they FaceTime occasionally, but they haven't seen the kids face to face since. After all this went down, my sisters tried to contact me. They both called my mobile and office lines and my wife's mobile from new numbers, but we don't answer unknown phone calls, as you shouldn't, or as you should. Cut this out. Fuck. After all this went down, my sisters tried to contact me. They both called my mobile and office lines and my wife's mobile from new numbers, but we don't answer unknown calls. They also emailed me from new accounts. I only read one of the emails. It was basically a sad attempt to manipulate me into giving them money. I had the attorney who dealt with all this before send them cease and desist letters to stop contacting me, or that I pursue criminal charges for harassment and sue them for damages. Throwing money at an attorney to intimidate a relative so they'll stop bothering you is kind of a shitty thing to do, but it worked. They went back to leaving me alone. Other notes. Oldest sister and husband's bankruptcy in the repayment phase, which will take them several years. Apparently, it's pretty tough for them because the repayment gets deducted from his paycheck, so they can't get around it. According to a conversation I had with my ex-brother-in-law, which is my middle sister's ex, they're scraping by, driving crap cars, and have fallen out of their friend group due to their behavior, lack of money, and because they screwed over several friends by not refunding money they'd been paid to use my vacation home. Yo, if I paid you $2,000 or $4,000 to $6,000 and you didn't pay me back and I didn't get services rendered, I'm taking your kneecaps. I'm taking your livers. I'm leaving you with one kidney between the both of y'all, and I'm selling the rest of them. I'm getting my money. Given how much appearances and status mean to them, it's a worse punishment than jail. Ex-brother-in-law also says they continue to drink too much. He says my remaining brother-in-law has been diagnosed with stage 2 hypertension and other issues, but hasn't changed his habits or lost any weight. I wonder if this is the brother who had a super high BMI in the very first story and smacked his face on the ground and had to get stitches. Oldest sister never did get a job, and she hasn't paid back a dime of the $45,000 she borrowed from Mom 2 years ago that let her keep her house. Also, my middle sister ran out of money and had to give up the place she rented after her divorce that kept her kids in the same school system. She's working, but it doesn't pay well. And even with child support, there was no way she was going to be able to afford to stay in the district long term. She ended up moving in with the older sister and her family. Oh my God. It's a trifecta of trash. They converted the garage for her and the kids. That was a whole other clusterfuck that's not worth going into. But no permits. Bad behavior on everyone's part, and fed up neighbors made for a lot of trauma. They're all still living there as far as I know. On a happier note, my parents spent a fair amount of time at the vacation home last year, and they purged a fair amount of stuff, especially furniture they'd been storing there since they sold the home we grew up in. that allowed me to get the outbuilding fixed up / weather tight / garage door working. So now it can be parked in. David, my property manager who lives in the area, managed the work and got it done before snow season started. Wife and I also made a couple of trips to it, which was nice. And that's the end of the most recent update. That comes, again, April 18th, 2026. OP, I'm happy you ain't got no bullshit to go through. But god damn, your parents were terrible parents to your sisters. Maybe they have some form of mental issues that were not diagnosed when they were kids and was not handled. Or maybe their jealousy and entitlement was fueled by bad parenting throughout the entirety of all three of your childhoods. And in turn, they ended up into the shitty people that they are in their 40s, right? Plus, they were babied in their, 20s, 30s, and 40s. People, who gets $500 a month in a grocery allowance from their parents? Everyone who doesn't, I want you to leave a down in the comments. I want you to down in the comments. Make a face with the emoji too, right? Question marks, hundreds of question marks, because I don't get $500 a month from my parents to buy my groceries. I get that from a paycheck from the job I work. Top comment. We're still in the 3 digits, baby. 142 up votes by Brave_Cranberry 1065. You have my continued sympathy. So do your parents. Man, fuck those parents. It's always worse when it's your family putting you through things like this. I feel terrible for your parents and wish them the very best and complete peace. I hope that they regret all the decisions that they made when all of you were young. I hope they regret every single decision that they made all the way up until and after giving that $45,000 away to them. Like, don't let your kids be homeless, but don't let your kids grow up into being financially irresponsible fucking losers. Alcoholic losers. These are drug addicts. Alcohol is a drug. They are abusing drugs day in and day out around children. The grandkids are going to grow up fucked up now because there is no one in their life to show them what good behavior is like, how you should act, and how not to drink. Alcohol is poison. OP replies to Brave Cranberry. You must think that I'm drunk because I can't say the word cranberry, but I've been yapping for 2 hours, 57 minutes, and 20 seconds straight without hitting my Stanley once. Stanley, sponsor me. Do it. Put some money in my pockets. Or subscribe to my Patreon. Oh my God, I'm dehydrated. Fuck. Ooh. OP replies, I feel bad for my folks too. They like things the way they were, or at least the way things appeared to be. But they've largely moved on. Mom does make the occasional comment that there should have been another way to work through all this without ending up with me and my sisters hating each other. I don't know. The way for things to have ended up better is for you to have been a better mom. Not you, Ma. I love you, Ma. You're a fantastic mother. I appreciate you for not being a shitty mother like the one in this story. I love you. Lily Luigi comments, replies to OP, they already hated you. And OP quotes that. Yeah, that's still a bit difficult to understand, but I've come to terms with it. I immediately skipped the rest of Lily's comment. To continue, they are just verbalizing it now. Nothing any of you could have done. And did you mean to say there's nothing any of you could have done? You just say nothing with a capital N. They all made specific choices and chose to hate you for unfounded reasons. They rewrote their childhoods to justify their feelings. Your mom is hurt over where she thought her life would be. It's no one's fault but your sisters and brother-in-laws. Laws? Law. You said law. Glad one of them broke free and got his head back on right. Oh, yep, you meant brother-in-law. Here's the thing. OP's going to therapy. And as I always say, whenever somebody brings up therapy in any of these stories, that is what I recommend. You go get a physical, right? You go see your primary care doctor once a year. Excuse me. You go to the dentist twice a year, right? At a minimum, you should go to a therapist 4 times a year, right? We're just going to continue to double it 4 times a year. And just like how you go to your primary care doctor and they make recommendations for you to see specialists, or they say you need to come back, we need to go over certain medicine that you're taking, we need to see you every couple of months, we need to see you every couple of weeks, we need to do tests, we need to do that. In the same way how you go to the dentist and they say, yeah, you have cavities, you need to come back. Hey, we need to get x-rays done. Hey, you need surgery on your jaw. Hey, this needs to happen, this needs to happen. You need implants, you need dentures, you need braces, right? And then you come back, you go back, you go back. It's the same thing for the therapist, right? They say, hey, how about we try once a month? Hey, how about we get you in here every 2 weeks? Hey, I've scheduled you for an appointment every single week, right? Now, of course, insurance, the cost to see a therapist is the thing that goes into it, just like every medical decision. Unfortunately, medicine is not a right. Health is not a right in this country. Therefore, ergo, it is not free in this country at the moment. But if you neglect your mental health, you are neglecting your brain, your nervous system. These are organs that allow for you to function the way that you do currently and have at a better, higher level, worse level in the past. If you neglect them and they get hurt and damaged and you don't take care of them, you're going to end up living a worse life, and or your life will end sooner than it should naturally. So it would behoove you to get the necessary funds together to go see a therapist. Let's do it. All right. Let's do it. My recommendation again, once a season, 4 times a year. And then it's the conversation that you have with your therapist who has a master's or is a doctor, right? It's a conversation you have personally with your doctor about how many times you're going to see him. I go every 2 weeks. It helps me to see my therapist. I am very lucky to have a job that has great health insurance. Not the fucking best, because apparently I can't get the name brand medicine that I want. Oh, I hate these companies. But it's so fucking good. I'm not even paying to go see my therapist right now. I think I get 12 free visits a year, but I feel like I've seen my therapist more than 12 times so far this year. I haven't been hit with a fee, a charge, right? I haven't walked in there and said, hey, let's swipe that card. Hey, right? I haven't had that happen yet. That shit might be a surprise to me one day. I might have negative $5 million in my bank account. And they're like, yo, bro, go ahead and go see her. Don't even worry. I'll let her know that your card declined. And she's in there ripping me apart. Oh, I'm not getting paid today? Your card declined? I find out mid-session? Right? You know the meme. You know the joke. They start ripping you apart. Oh, shit, your card did go through. All right, let me retract all those bad things I said about you. Yes, your mom really does love you. Yes, you are not a drain on society. You are actually good looking. No, Oh, all those people who said bad things about your looks after your car accident that left you with third-degree burns in the face. No, they're lying. You look good. Let me shut the fuck up. Oh my god. Yeah, it's a good thing that OP's going to therapy, right? It would have been a recommendation like way earlier on had I thought about it, or at the very least, if I had known about this story and was on Reddit when like had like the thought process to message OP, family therapy, right? At the very least, the parents need therapy so they can reflect on their actions, right? Especially if the sisters end up getting therapy and they try to actually come back into their lives, right? If the parents get therapy and they understand where they fucked up at, they could potentially be not a trifecta, a quadfecta of good influence on the grandchildren, right? But at the moment, oh man, actually, because there's two sisters, one brother-in-law, and two parents, so not quadfecta. What would 5 be? Pentafecta? I'm just making up shit. I'm literally just making up shit at this point. Yeah. TKYZR drops a comment. 68 upvotes. Not 60K, 68. We're back to the double digits. Those two sisters are going to end up alone with just each other for company. They'll be in a cramped space, drinking, bitter, and still blaming the OP and their parents for not giving them more money. And OP replies that, yeah, that's where I see this heading too. And Library Mouse 4321 replies to OP, their kids will end up hating them too when they are old enough, and if they haven't been affected with the asshole virus that plagues their parents, minus the dad that recovered. No, he's an asshole too because he's thinking about leaving the fucking country and not being in his kids' lives. What? They might be able to have a relationship with your parents and maybe you as well. Imagine how your sisters' heads will explode if they see their kids who are no contact or low contact with them on social media at your parents' house or your parents' cabin with you and their grandparents. And OP replies, it's shitty of me to say, but I do hope their kids end up hating them. But just enough for the kids to make different life choices than their moms have. Whether it's genetic or it's just how poorly they were raised, the environment that they're in doesn't even lead me to have an iota of a belief in the kids ending up being good people when they grow up. No, because if they're still acting a fool, we're 3 years into the story, update-wise. The youngest would be 10 and the oldest would be 14. Nah, they're kind of locked into certain personality traits that have to be unlearned through socializing and or hard consequences. Right? I can't say physical, like, oh, I'm being a bully, and then the bully gets their ass beat, and then they learn a hard life lesson. But I ain't got no faith. There are so many comments by OP. And this is our last update, so I kind of want to read more. Pepsi lover drinks Coke. Drops a comment. They probably blame you for the divorce. I'm glad you remain no contact. And OP replies, to be fair, my ex-brother-in-law doesn't blame me. He blames himself and the dynamic he let himself get into with his wife and their behavior. We don't keep in contact much, but he seems like he's on the right track. If he made the decision to leave the country for his job to try and get a fresh start, a fresh restart on his life while leaving his kids behind in a different country, to me, he is not a good person. Sending money in the form of child support and being there for phone calls, maybe vacations, FaceTimes, Zooms, makes for you to be a shit parent. I understand that they're divorced. I understand that they can't live together. But had he been a better person or simply chose not to lay with his now ex-wife and create multiple children. Had he made better decisions on the path of life that he's on, he wouldn't be getting dragged by me. He is not a good person. I don't want anybody to say that, right? As much as OP may love his parents, they are not good people to me, right? They did a bad job. Doing a bad job with 2 out of 3 of your kids means you are a bad parent. And in turn, if you are a bad parent, you are a bad person, right? The sisters are bad people, right? They are drug addicts because they abuse alcohol. They are alcoholics. In turn, they are bad people. They are raising their kids to be bad people potentially as well right now as I speak. The brother-in-law is a bad person, financially inept, makes $200,000 a year, but is over $100,000 in debt, has to be forced to file Chapter 13 bankruptcy after trying to escape his own personal debt that he's incurred after filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy. He's a bad person. He's also an alcoholic as well, drug addict, bad person, bad father. These are all bad people. OP, you not recognizing all of their fuck ups and only your siblings' fuck ups, only your brother-in-law's fuck ups, trying to give some levity to your ex-brother-in-law. To me, you are a bad person. Keep going to therapy. Keep working on yourself. Maybe you lucked out to not be as shitty as them, right? But I can't imagine all the people around you being shit people and you not being a shit person in some avenues of your life. I can't. Sometimes it takes a really atypical, what is it? A-type personality to really get there and be successful. And you're successful. You got multiple properties, right? You bought a vacation home in full in a mountainous area where there aren't a lot of people on 3 lots. I don't know what 3 lots is. Is that 3 acres? Right. So what did you cash out? Somewhere between $200,000 and $600,000, maybe more. And you already have another home and you're able to buy, cash out brand new vehicles for your parents. Thousands of dollars mean nothing to you to even try to get back from the brother-in-laws who fucked you over. Thousands of dollars means nothing to you to put forth the effort to get back. You make a lot of money. I know you make a lot of money. So I believe you have a A-type personality, especially because fuck, you went to college, full ride scholarship. You're smart. But you're dumb for not seeing all the bullshit. You're close to all the bullshit, so I can understand you're a little blind to it. You're surrounded in the bullshit. You can't see behind yourself. Right, but you gotta have eyes on the back of your head. I'm actually annoyed. I'm not gonna read the rest of these comments by OP. Right, it's 3 a.m. I've been yapping for over 3 hours at this point, based upon my record time on this interface. And I've only technically read 1 story to you guys. I've read so many updates, but I've technically only read 1 story. Only 1 story. And as usual, I had 8 stories ready to go. I'm gonna have to make this a special episode and just give it straight to y'all, because this needs to be out at 8 a.m. per usual. And that's 5 hours from now. So to all you beautiful, intelligent people, beautiful, wonderful, intelligent people. How does my catchphrase go? I keep fucking it up every episode. To all you beautiful, wonderful, intelligent people, you poorly educated, need to be trained, idiotic people, I want you to have a beautiful day, night, week, month, and year. I've been your host, Mr. Always on 10, and I appreciate you for listening all the way through to this point. This has been the Intelligent Idiots Podcast. I thank you for coming. Peace.